Morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you happen to be in the world. Welcome to TraderTV.live. It's Monday, March 9th. Global equity markets right across the board set to resume the steep sell-off we've seen over the past week and a half, with U.S. equity index futures limit down at the moment. Lots to get to this morning as far as how we're going to approach this morning. Obviously very negative right across the board. We have a bit of an oil price war now developing between Saudi Arabia and Russia. That has crude set to start the week at multi-decade lows. $31 on crude futures this morning. Pretty impressive just over the weekend. 10-year Treasury yield starting the week at all-time lows, 0.318% when I sat down this morning. Obviously used as a benchmark for mortgage rates and also auto loans in the U.S. Individually, as far as stocks are concerned this morning, a lot of COVID-19 related stocks gapping to the upside, while with the big move down in crude oil markets, we're seeing oil names all to the downside this morning. Let's bring in Neil and Sean right off the bat here, guys. Pretty important morning, I think, to have a plan. Let's jump into things, guys.
Good morning.
I don't even have a plan, so.
No, it's a good morning to at least be prepared mentally. Certainly, this is going to be an exciting day. I think that goes without saying. You talked about those limits. You know, we're looking at the SPY and the Qs right now because, of course, limit down on the ES. Those limit halt rules that will come in that are brand new since the crisis could come into play if we have any further drop on the S&P, and those are market wide. So it's going to be an interesting. It's going to be interesting. There is the halt levels right there. It's going to be a very, very interesting morning. We're happy to be live on YouTube today for the first time, and I know Sean is appropriately dressed, I think, for today.
Yeah. I specifically today wore all black because I got the black pants on. I'm ready to rock and roll. Black underwear as well. Maybe that's a little too private.
Maybe.
We're ready to rock and roll. And look, that's the thing. Brendan talked about a plan. I don't think you have one. I mean, I don't
Actually,
have one.
you know what my plan is? My plan is to not be married to a plan. That's the first thing. Well, now, also interestingly enough, at 9:30, it's very, very interesting. If we do open lower than those halt limit levels, one of them is very close on the ES. It's like 27.65, and I see the SPY trading at 277.25 right now. We'll see what happens. They've never used them. We could have a market-wide halt almost right away, and we don't really know exactly what that's going to look like.
Netherlands, 56 coronavirus cases I just see across the board right now. Okay, so this is the thing. Look. The levels, we're just going over some charts. The levels are back to like October, November, right? And so it's not that this is gloom or doom on some of these equities, but if you had bought in the last 2 or 3 months, you're going to be underwater, obviously. So today will be very interesting to see. I see the Fed buying some more repo. They've increased it from 100 to 150. We're going to see here today what does happen. Oil, like you said, Neil, before we went on air, that's a big problem.
Serious problem if it stays below 45 for too long.
What is XOM? I mean, let's call up XOM.
Oh, there we go, guys. Already some love in the chat there. Peanut, yeah, we're having our morning coffee for the Armageddon. If it's going to be Armageddon, I might as well enjoy the cup of Joe there. And
someone's name is Peanut. Good.
Adam with the reference there. Mortimer were ruined.
So here's XOM, guys, $40. We were shorting it through 50 last week, Brendan. But look, it's going to be great. I know we have a special guest lined up, so let's not keep talking about stocks because we can do that in a couple seconds.
So much to get to, guys. Let's have a look at some markets. First off, we'll go over to the APAC region, see how things fared overnight in Asia. Not good right across the board here. Biggest decline in 2.5 years for the Hong Kong market. You can see 4.25% to the downside. Shanghai following suit there, 3+%. Look at Japan, 5% to the downside. Australia, 7% to the downside. A lot of energy names in the Australia market, obviously weighing things to the downside. Both Nifty and Korea at the bottom there, 4+%. Let's go over to Europe and see how things are faring so far heading into the midday. Yeah, look at Italy. Guys, a 10+% move to the downside for Italy. Obviously, a quarter of their population under quarantine now because of the coronavirus. 7+% moves basically right across the board. You can see Swiss and Sweden markets there faring ever so slightly better. Let's have a look at North American markets here heading towards the open. About 25 minutes to go. Yeah, there you go. 4+% moves right across the board. The TSX futures pointing to a 5 5% move here in Toronto. Brazil's open already, trading 7% to the downside. Bitcoin off 13%. We have crude oil down about 23%. Gold ever so slightly higher. I was really expecting a bit of a spike to the upside in gold futures, but not the case so far. We have a lot to get to this morning, so I want to bring in our first guest. First off, it's Airplane Jane joining us for the first time in a couple of weeks, and what a morning to have Jane back with us. I mean, where do we start here, Jane? It's going to be exciting, regardless of how you approach this morning.
Oh, for sure, for sure. And you know what? I think Sean is wearing the wrong color. It should be green.
Yes.
Because you know what? There's going to be so many opportunities today. There could be opportunities to the downside and to the long side.
Yep.
The key is, yes, be nimble, right? Don't get tied to anything. It could be a very, very whippy market today. However, you guys know, follow the dark pool in the Java pit and the training pit. We saw this coming and we were prepared. My heart goes out to those people that are underwater in their trades. That's what stocks are for. Even long-term investors, my dad, I warned him, he said, you know what? I just can't react as quickly as you. And my heart goes out to him as well. Everybody that is losing in this market, I am sorry, but there are going to be great opportunities. A lot of discount value stocks for further on later investing. And I've got a great one for Sean. I know he always loved Apple. He's a long-time Apple bull, and I might have a couple good levels to watch.
Yeah, let's talk a little bit about your approach this morning, Jane. Obviously, you know, a situation we're not used to. Obviously, you know, last time Sean and I were talking about this before we came on. Last time we had futures limit down was obviously the day that Trump got elected. So it's been a while, obviously. How do you adjust your plan going into the morning, if at all, on a morning like this when we have such extreme volatility?
Going ahead and making sure to protect those profits. I was in swings over the weekend, prepared for this downward turn. And honestly, it could get worse. However, we do have those halts. But those halts, if you also look at them on the SPY, could also be great entry levels longer term if they hold it there and it bounces. So looking at that, you know, be prepared. If the market does turn around very quickly, there could be a major short squeeze for all those people that shorted it at the top. So keeping that in mind, you've got to be aware and ready for the opportunity.
Yeah, I think we're going to be talking a lot about relative strength and relative weakness throughout the morning this morning. Lots to talk about individually this morning, so I'll get you over to Neil and Sean here.
Awesome.
Good morning, Jane.
Good morning, guys.
Exciting, obviously. I wish I was dressed for the part. Sean is, I don't know if you got the memo, Black Monday. It apparently is today.
But I do like the green. I do like the green thought there, Jane. Thank you for being positive. It's coming. St. Patrick's Day is right around the corner.
Week?
Do you celebrate St. Patrick's Day at all?
I'm not a huge St. Patrick's Day fan. I had a car accident on St. Patrick's Day, and it left me with a herniated disc, so it sort of left a sour taste in my mouth.
All right, all right. Jane, you did mention, you know, obviously great work on some of those, a little bit of prediction there. You talked about the dark pools there with Apple moving around, and now we get Apple down to 264 right now. Look, we talked about it being for long-term holds possibly. Obviously, Apple's a great company. A lot of these positions right now, Amazon, Google, are falling with the indexes. Apple going to be one of the more dramatic falls because they're so loaded up in the S&P 500, the NASDAQ 100. As the indexes fall, obviously the equity falls as well. You mentioned some key levels. And do not, Jane, tell me 157 or whatever you did that one time before, but let's go over something. Let's go over some levels that maybe we see today. Do we get near 250? And again, I know that the halt rules are going to be here, so it's a little hard to make predictions. So we're not trying to ask you to, you know, put your neck out or anything like that. But are you seeing something from some of the prints? It doesn't have to be Apple, but on any other stocks in particular as well. We can go over anything you want.
Well, I mean, I think we can also talk about the airlines and also cruise lines. You know, all of that's being affected, transportation overall. Yes, oil is dropping. This was also coming as well with SARS. You know, SARS dropped the oil sector 30%. So we have that with the coronavirus dropping oil. And we also have the OPEC Russia union together to try to attack the shale industry. So that's attacking the price of oil. It's also really affecting the Canadian dollar that you mentioned last night when we were live. So looking at all that, putting the puzzle pieces together, there could be some great buying opportunities in the oil sector, but waiting for a bottom, don't catch that falling knife. Don't jump in just because it's showing oversold on the RSI. Wait for the market and the chart and the volume to tell you to get in. As far as Apple, we could see it go all the way down to roughly $10. We might see $14.23 today. Below that, we might be getting down to the 12s and then on down to 10 this week. With Apple, yes, I think we're if we don't get that halt, potentially going down to 260. We might go down to 225 this week. I know you called me crazy, getting even potentially signs down to 142.
Yes.
Don't like that as a long-term bull investor, but that means you could load up again, right? You could go ahead and you could add to a winning position. It might be a little underwater at that point in time for some of your entries, but it could be a great time, not necessarily today, but in the near future to get in.
Yeah, we've been talking about raising capital. I've been saying that on the show for the last little while. Some of our traders here, thank God, we're on a trading floor of 25, 30 traders behind us, and some of them are doom and gloom. So I've been raising capital based on some of their opinions for a bit, and I'll be putting that to work soon. I have the chart up of RCL. So we're going to see here, this is one that's been, obviously, we talk about the cruise lines dropping down. Here we go, 135. Of course, this is Royal Caribbean. 135 at the top. Made a very beautiful top, gave people a lot of opportunity to get out. But there's the break of the 50-period moving average on the daily chart. And see ya, bombs away all the way down here to 56 and change. So literally almost, a third of its price all the way down here. That's Royal Caribbean. We'll call up CCL as well, where we're going to have a very
Carnival
similar.
They're trying to bounce actually in the pre-market on volume at 9 o'clock, about a $1.50 or so. So it's down to 24 as well. But it doesn't mean that there's no buying altogether. Everything is waiting for 9:30 at this point. It's just a matter of if you like some names to the long side and you think there's going to be a bounce, just got to pick them carefully and know which ones those are going to be in advance.
Yeah, I think there will be a bounce on many of the stocks right at the open. And in my opinion, that's going to be those shorts, locking those profits. The experienced traders, hey, I'm going to go ahead, maybe lock 50% scale. If you are trading, don't get overly greedy. It could really turn around and hurt you quickly.
Yeah, I mean, we're expecting crazy volatility. I have APT up. I mean, I'm sure that in some of your watch lists there that you send out to some of your viewers and whatnot, Jane, you can see here, APT, this is just another one of those mask makers. Up a little bit today, 4.65% at 15 and change. It's made a nice little bottom here at 13. Is this something that when you're looking at some of these coronavirus names, Lake, APT, Codex, NNVC, whatever, we can go on and on and on. I guess we're just trading the way the market moves. Like, we're not using charts or technicals for this. We're using momentum. We're using tape reading and things like that. Is that something that you also preach, or do you really stay with the technicals on some of these names?
Well, no, for sure. Tape reading is a big part of it. If you see that big order buying or selling, whether it's spoofing or not, you want to definitely pay attention to that. You also want to look and see, is there refreshing, that iceberg order, where you're watching it and you see that it's just not moving. Their shares are keep being added and added. Maybe that's even a dark pool right there, where they're going ahead, for the larger cap stocks, for the micro cap, for the lower float stocks. Many of those I find tend to be really momentum driven by the retail traders, as the really big guys don't necessarily get into them. They don't have that super large float. It's harder for them to trade. Yes, there's some low float names like I'm thinking of the ticker CMG, Chipotle, Stamp. Those are larger price stocks as well that maybe some hedge funds and mutual funds are getting into, but they are lower float overall.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I know we're looking at some of the coronavirus names here, and sometimes you've seen that inverse relationship. For those that do trade these names, market goes down. These are the only things that are trading up. I was looking at my quote board. Basically, everything that was up was essentially going to be coronavirus related, and they're all small cap names.
Some other ones, though, to look at, when you start to see that pullback in the market. What about, we were talking about it last night, Kimberly-Clark, Procter & Gamble. Check out some of the, the consumer goods.
Yeah, Clorox.
Right? Walmart as well. People are preparing. If we go into a quarantine scenario where you have to stay at home, where are you going to go ahead and get everything? Walmart, Costco, right? They were saying Costco sold out of toilet paper out in the western area of Canada. So knowing things like that, that can also be a potential coronavirus trade, not to marry to it, but for potentially a swing while people are stocking up before we have a quarantine scenario if we get there.
Yeah, exactly. Instead of that first level play, get that second, third level type of action with coronavirus, and certainly that would be.
You know, it's a problem when Costco no longer has any toilet paper.
That's not good.
That's a little bit of a problem. I get all those updates from my wife. She's like, "You should see the Costco shelves," and I'm like, "Gonna buy Costco stock." But here we go. If you come to my screen quickly here, Jane, oil is popping a little bit. It stopped popping off from $31. It's hard to see the prices here, so I apologize. But this is $31.40 up to $33 or so. It did make a high of $33.60 before. I think if oil can get going today, that'll give a little bit of relief back into the market. Also right now, Twitter, you can see this little bump in Twitter there, getting a $1 billion investment finally from Silver Lake. They had Elliott Management the week before. So things are moving around, Jane, and we don't want to take much more of your time. Only 14 minutes left until Black Monday possibly comes through. But
and carpe profit, right? Seize those profits one trade at a time because it could be really crazy out there.
Exactly. Great advice. Thank you very much. It's
wait, don't let her go yet. Don't let her go yet. I got to hit something very, very fancy. Here we go, Jane. It's going to come right near where you are. There we go. And she has landed. Thank you, Jane. Our first guest on YouTube Live, as we live today, every day, 9 o'clock. Join us, and thank you. Airplane Jane, check her out on It's Airplane Jane from Twitter as well.
Thanks very much.
Awesome. Thanks, guys. Have a great day.
Thank you. All right.
Bye.
And that's our first guest. Lots to talk about. Oil moving, Twitter moving, every single stock moving. But they may not move once they open because we are uncertain of halts and what will be triggered at 9:30, guys.
All right, guys, let's go over a few things here. I want to talk a little bit about relative strength and relative weakness, and also maybe being prepared to trade things as a group today versus individually. So typically we talk a lot about individual names and how to approach the morning in individual stocks, some of the levels that we're looking at. We have all of the oil names trading significantly lower. Basically, I mean, you touched on a few there, all of the corona-related stocks gapping higher this morning. I want to touch on a couple of these. First off, AIM Immunotech. I mean, you talked about APT, you talked about CODX. AIM Immunotech, one of the only ones with actual news this morning, announcing that the National Institute of Japan will begin testing on their Ampligen, which could be a potential fix for the corona virus. So, like 70% here for AIM on the NYSE ARC exchange, guys.
Yeah, I mean, they have actual news, like you mentioned there, $4 level worth having a look at, giving you some lower consolidation. On a regular day, I'd be looking at this sort of a gap retracement play on this name. Today, I'm probably going to allow this one to open up. If we do get a massive rally, any kind of a bounce in the futures, I think the places where I'd play the retracement play with the ones that don't have the same direct news. So you're talking about maybe your CODX or any of the other ones, INO. I think AIM in particular, you might be looking for that 4 even breakout in this case.
Yeah, $4. Look, I mean, like we said, there's going to be so much happening.
Yeah,
today.
I mean,
that could be a good one. You know what? I think they'll actually, some of these coronavirus ones will probably continue to trade as normal. I mean, they've been sort of going nuts lately anyway. So if you are used to trading INO, IBIO, AIM, we just talked about a few of those names also with Jane, that would be great. Okay, we are not going to throw to Valeria, but we do have all your questions. Hit us up here. We do have the live chat. Not sure why not. As soon as you can get it ready, we should be throwing to her as well. But we do have questions. Anytime you want to talk to us, hit us up on the YouTube live chat. We'll be here all day, also taking questions on Twitter. It's going to be a really, really fun day today, no matter what, guys.
All right, guys, let's one more to talk about in the coronavirus space real quick. Co-Crystal Pharmaceuticals, COCP, another one with actual news today. I just brought up CVX here. Yeah, let's go to energy stocks as well. Obviously, all trading, as I mentioned, to the downside significantly this morning. I mean, your XOMs, your CVX, take a pick. I mean, I saw Marathon Oil was down 30+% today. CVX pushing the lows here already, guys. $79 at the bottom in the pre-market.
Yeah, I mean, the daily chart's not going to do you much good. You can pop the 3 minutes to look at last week, and that's not going to do you much good either. I think the story is going to be where do we see energy prices go? I was reading a few things this morning. They're talking about, you know, you could eventually get to $20 and how many companies are going to go into bankruptcy if we stay below 45 for X amount of time. That's a serious concern there. And I think that's definitely something to monitor. Of course, we talk about coronavirus and both supply and demand shock that it's providing to the markets. But this is an interesting step for a catalyst. This is a very, very real one, this price war. And it's going to be interesting how it plays out and what kinds of reactions we see coming from, you know, from central banks, from all the big governments. We're going to hear some things today, so make sure you stay tuned. We'll get all the news to you live. Brendan is all over it all the time.
Yeah, XOM, Chevron, look, I mean, any oil name, Enbridge, I noticed in Toronto as well, getting ready to rock and roll to the downside. So, look, I mean, look, there's nothing that's going to open up higher today other than some of the U.S. dollar versus CAD. We talked about that a little bit in that relationship, but it's just going to be a wild day. Only 9 minutes to go. We can keep talking about everything. Microsoft is also at that 150 mark, but as we were talking before, we are ready with the chat Maestra, I believe we're talking.
It's the Maestra.
Is that what you're
It's the Maestra.
All right, let's go to Valeria.
Thanks, Sean, and hello, everyone. I wish you a very productive week, and I remind you to follow us on social media. We are on Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, YouTube, Facebook, and of course, YouTube. I'll be leading the live chat as usual, so feel free to ask us questions, and please hit the thumbs up. We want to know you enjoy our video. Well, that's all. Back to you guys.
All right, guys, let's go to Costco. I want to talk a little bit about Costco before we get going here. Obviously, relative strength going to be a key today. If we see the market starting to recover, you want to have names ready to go on the strong side. We mentioned all last week how Costco was holding up relatively strong, obviously gapping to the downside here. Nowhere near some of these other names that we are talking about, however. Significant levels coming into play on the daily chart at this point as well, guys.
Yeah, I mean, look, you're going to pick and choose, and you have to have ones if you think there's going to be a bounce. You know, you talk about it, at least to the downside, 289 or so, but that's a ways away. We're not down as much. We're only down 5% in Costco here. If it's going to give you, you know, even a 296 or 300 on a ridiculous bounce, I think both those could be very, very interesting. Again, we'll all be holding our breath at 9:30 because, as you mentioned there, and it's a fantastic question, Peter, are we going to open up limit down? We might. I mean, I was looking at the SPY just a couple of seconds ago here, and 275 is where we're trading. You know, it looks like with 7 minutes to go, that would technically have us open up below that 7% limit, which should trigger a market-wide halt. We had our good friend from the floor, Sean, Mark Roberts from Catone & Co. I messaged him this morning. His response was, should be, if we open it past that level, we'd get that halt at 9:30, but not sure. No one's actually seen these happen before.
Yeah, they're new rules, and they're in place for a reason to stop this kind of market chaos here. And the one thing is, I just want to look at quickly a stock that it's not on our list to talk about, but there's so many stocks. We trade Microsoft all the time, especially I do for sure. You can see this is bouncing off 150. So the low of the day here, 149.70. I think if you want to take a stab at something, and again, I don't know where we're going to open. I'm personally not going to get into position for the first, I don't know, 10 or 15 seconds probably. Wait to see what does. I know that doesn't sound. That sounds like.
No, but I mean,
10 seconds sounds like it's not that much time, but it will
it
allow.
Matters. It matters.
Allow. Yeah, exactly. It'll allow some of these market orders to get in. I think Jane brought up some good points there, obviously, and so did you, Neil, when we talked about having a plan, and that was. Wait, you know, you don't have to be married to any kind of position. If you're normally taking 500 shares of Microsoft, maybe today's a day that you take 100. And then, you know, because you could have 5 times the volatility.
Exactly.
So you got to plan appropriately. Look at whatever your risk levels are. If you're willing to lose $1,000 today or make $1,000, just trade appropriately and accordingly. We have no idea what's going to happen. This could literally be the end of the world. This could be the greatest buying opportunity ever. Me and Brendan talked about it while we were getting coffee as well. The best buying opportunity of all time was the day after President Trump was elected, which followed a limit down in the futures. So this may be, they could be loading up their bullets here. We know the Fed is in the building. Obviously, Donald Trump on an election year.
75 points is priced. It's like 70%. I think at the last watch.
No, it's 100%.
Is it up?
Yeah, the CME has 100%.
There you go. Never mind.
Right now, future for a rate cut of 75 points.
75 points.
And it's 75%, Neil, and we'll call up the website in a second. It's 75% for full.
That's
100
okay.
points.
Yeah, that's what I was looking
Yeah,
at.
100 points, full 1 point basis.
And
cut
Treasuries
there.
at 0.5. I mean,
And
come on.
Japan's at -2 right now.
If you don't enjoy this, I don't know what.
Yeah, let's get ready to rock and roll. Let's throw it back to Brandon. Look, only 5 minutes, Brandon.
All right, guys, we'll talk about Disney here. Disney with a little bit, if you want to dig deep enough here, a little bit of positive news, saying this morning that they will resume some operations, limited operations, in some Shanghai Disneyland parks. Saying that as the virus within China seems to slow, they're going to slowly kind of resume operations here. We are gapping to the downside, but Sean, another one that we talk about on the show quite frequently.
Yeah, look, I mean, me and Neil just talking about Disney right now, and obviously the coronavirus hitting them very hard. They're actually, let's just call a daily chart up right here, guys, since we have this as we're going. Look at Disney down another 6.5% today. This is the problem. This is the Disney Plus coming out, yada, yada, yada. I don't even think it's that good, but there we go. All the way, and I subscribe to it, so there you go. Take my money, I guess. All the way up to 154.
They got mine too.
It's $8 a month or something here in Canada. But look at this. Dropping, Brendan, this is low, man. 108. Like, talking about Corona, they are getting crushed right now. 150 down to 108. That's a haircut of $50. Obviously, a third of their price. Chopped down. Disney, I love it for a long-term hold. They pay a dividend. They're highly loved. They have ESPN. They have ABC. Obviously, they have all the theme parks. Their movies are continue to crush it. But
what are you going to do? They have more direct exposure. And we were saying this right before we came into this.
Who's traveling?
This
Who's
talk.
going to theaters?
Maybe you're more comfortable with Netflix in this situation. Netflix is not down as far from their tops. They're just a little bit stronger. Of course, everything's down. So down 6%, the same thing as Disney, but certainly hasn't even gotten to some support levels of 320, which could be interesting if they come into play. I don't know where the Disney bottom is going to be, and I've got caught in the market rallies wanting Disney to be that bounce play. I'd be much more comfortable on a bounce play on Netflix today.
I see Peanut here talking about Microsoft being down to $14 in 2009. In 2009, a lot of things were cheap,
you can
my
start
friend.
rhyming off prices
Bank of
there.
America was $5. Amazon was probably in the hundreds. So yeah, look, if Microsoft drops below, I don't really care. I'm going to be buying today. Look, I'll tell everybody right now, I'm buying in my own account today after the show. A few of these names, anyways. Brendan at the big screen. Let's go.
Guys, I want to mention Boeing here as well. Yeah, Boeing 9% on the morning, 234 at the bottom over here. We were trading 260 last week, guys. The Wall Street Journal reporting over the weekend. Regulators are going to make them move that wiring harness in the grounded 737 MAX jet. So adding to the negativity here. Boeing, another one to look at on the downside, guys.
Yeah, we've just been waiting for the bad news to sort of end here in Boeing, and it's getting hurt by the market. It's still under its own pressure as well. I think it's ways away before I'm comfortable buying in this one, despite the fact that at some point you do know when the market recovers and they steady things out, they're going to be fine. They have a gigantic market share. I mean, but obviously the entire space getting hurt.
I don't know. Let's check this out. We didn't check this out, Neil. I don't know why we
No
didn't.
surprise.
And here we go, the imbalance locator. Who cares about Chesapeake? That's been a story for a while. NIO here,
XOM.
NIO Chinese, XOM right here. NIO Chinese car maker, electric car maker, getting crushed. We talked about Tesla being down to 600. I pulled my bid. Neil asked if I was long. No, I'm not. We're going to wait for that. Here's Disney, 700,000 to sell. A work that's Slack right here. AT&T. Neil, I don't see a B. I'm scrolling here, and these are all
You might not find one.
sells.
All sell amounts.
You know what? It's almost. You know what? Close that.
There is no need to look at that
today.
today.
We don't need to see that. Everything is a sell. Boeing, I didn't even realize was down here. So that's another one getting my heart racing here.
We got about under 90 seconds to go. I hope you are locked and loaded and ready to go. You can look at Microsoft. I'm looking at Netflix. I'm also looking at AMD as well this morning, in some of those coronavirus names. Costco, I think, as well. A minute to go here, and we talked about Valeria. She's going to be ringing our bell just behind us in the middle of the trading floor. And look, you have questions, comments, you're confused what's going on, you just have something you want to talk about or bring up, throw it into the chat. We are here. We will get to it. We are talking to you guys. We're bringing you the markets from the trader's perspective today on what should be a very, very exciting day, to say the least.
I don't see how it is not. So, okay, right now, 45 seconds. If you're joining us for the first time, welcome. YouTube Live, hit us up on chat. Go to our website. We're all over social media, Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn also. Thank Thank you to Kevin O'Leary for coming on last week as well as the guys, the gentleman from MindMed. We'll have to look at that stock today, psychedelic mushrooms in play. And thank you. Good luck to you as well, Greg. We are going to be rocking and rolling today. AMD down 12%. Holy shit.
A little bouncer.
15 seconds.
Someone just bought for 70 cents up
go.
here.
We're going to see. Let's see if the punch protection team is in the building.
PPT.
We do have Valeria. Valeria, hit that bell. 8 seconds to go. 7, 6. Let's go.
5, 4,
little early
3.
there, Valeria.
She's
2,
excited. Why not? We all are.
The market is open. And here we go. Microsoft right to that 150 level, guys. Let's get ready to rock and roll this stock and the market today. Welcome to us live on YouTube. Let's see if we can't make some magic happen right now.
Yeah, I mean, right now, immediately, we're opening on the ES here. We're 27.59. This looks like, look, this looks like a halt to me.
Yeah.
I mean, what? I mean, we're piling into the offer.
We're trading. We see the
I'm not seeing any movement. I'm not seeing any movement right now on my futures quote. I got an offer. I got an offer right here, but this is insane. So look at the futures offer not moving whatsoever. Crazy equities are moving. We were talking about Disney. Right back to that 108 low. Again, I'm seeing absolutely no movement off of that futures, but the NQ is definitely moving.
Yeah, I just went short Microsoft at 150.12. I don't know if that's going to be a problem or not. Look, if the futures are halted, then shouldn't these stocks be going down? I mean, down 7% right now. Small little position.
No liquidity.
Small little position in Microsoft here. If it breaks through 150 or so, we'll get out. But we're short right now, 150.12 on stock.
Look at the liquidity in Apple. It's basically dead here. We are getting a bit of it's trying to bounce off of 266. So you see this nice move in Apple to the upside, but it's crazy. I'm looking at the NQ for some guidance. I'm looking at the ES, and it's basically absolutely nada. But we are getting a bounce just a little bit here in Apple.
Is this pandemonium? Who knows what's going on now? We're just playing around. You can see right now Microsoft is dropping. We are short 150.12. It's the only position. I don't really know what to do. Normally I watch the futures here, Neil, and I know you do as well. So we're a little bit shell-shocked right now on some of these names. Microsoft is moving to the upside.
Whoa, $1.50 off the open here in Uber to the upside here, up into that 29.40 range. Top of that pre-market area with 30 even. I mean, I don't know. Am I fading into Uber right here in front of the top? It just feels like with the market giving us no indication, I want to sell something. Why not jump into some Uber?
Yeah, I don't know either. I'm going to dump a little bit of this Microsoft right here before we get going. So let's just wait to see if this one wants to come down a little bit. Remember, 151.50 is where we're going to get at. We just checked out a little bit there. We're short. We're going to wait to see if this breaks 150 to the downside. Oil heading southbound. Let's check in on our friend XOM right now. Futures still not moving, guys. That's going to be the futures in my bottom left. So if you see anything popping there, you'll know the futures are back open, guys. And XOM, Neil, is rallying a little bit, down 14%, touch as high as 42. Let's get going on some of these.
Yeah, this is making no sense to me. Quickly jump in, and the Uber, no liquidity whatsoever, jumps to the upside, right to 295. 29.50. 30 is the actual top here in the pre-market, but I got no idea what's going to happen as I'm watching that AIM stock, and if you played that traditional play, thank goodness. If you did that short, fantastic for you. If you played off that 37.50 or 375, you're already in the money, 40, 50 pence. They're all coming back to the downside here. So watching very, very closely. I got AMD bouncing to the upside as well, $2 at 44 right now. So equities are alive and kicking, and they're bouncing to the upside.
Yeah, exactly. So we're going to be out of this Microsoft very soon. One trade. Looks like it's going to be one loser here. Disney is rallying backside right now, crushing through 110. We'll see if that can break. 110, a nice little price. These equities actually aren't down as badly as I maybe thought they would have been today, only down 5%. Disney was touching 107.50 earlier on. I'm probably going to feel like an idiot for not picking up some Tesla at 600, 616 right now, guys.
Yeah, I'm looking at NEO here. It's trying to bounce as well, but Tesla bouncing off 600 like you mentioned. NEO right here at $3, 2.5 million in volume. Expecting a little bit more activity than that off of this, but I guess right now everything is very, very sleepy. It's just crazy activity right now. You have individual stocks with low liquidity. You've got the market basically giving you absolutely nothing. I'm looking at this tight range in Microsoft. I'm like, why are we not moving here?
I don't know. I mean, that's what I'm waiting for too. I'm still short Microsoft. I might just get at 150.12 here. We're going to wait to see. I already dumped a little bit of it. It's bounced up to my area, 150, 150. We're holding this one still, guys. Let's see if this market wants to continue to fade down. This is not as doom and gloom as many predict. And
there's the halt.
So we're in the halt now. So here we go. So now we are short softy. We are halted. Let's see what happens. Let's make
This
some
is what
magic.
you guys are going to see here, right? You're going to jump to some level 2s. I had costs go up. You're going to see it go all gray. In our system, we trade in Prosper Pro. What you're going to see is it all grayed out. You're not going to have any prints. We're going to be halted. It looks like for probably about 15 minutes, if it's what I assume it's going to be. I suppose it took a few minutes to trigger. Maybe you had to have a bunch of names open up. I'm not sure what the exact rules are with regards to that. But yeah, we are absolutely halted right now. We're expecting this could have happened at 9:30.
Yeah.
It did not. We did wait to see it happen. I can tell you right now, you look at the if you look at some of the ETFs here, they're actually technically still going to have a trade.
NYSE halted as well?
If you're looking at the SPY, you're looking at the Qs. There's technically movement there. I'm looking at the NQ here, and I'm actually getting movement on the micros.
Yeah, maybe NASDAQ is fine. Well, NASDAQ, the equities are halted, so the micros could still be trading for sure. Let's just check in on some New York stocks. All we've been talking about is NASDAQ. Here's the halt again on JP Morgan. Wow, JP Morgan is $94.
$94.
Yeah. Alert, 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 man. This has been a crazy day so far. JP Morgan is $94. I want to put this in perspective for a lot of people.
So if you guys in the chat, if you're wondering what's happened, equities are halted across the board in the New York and the NASDAQ as well. I'm seeing some trading on the micros here. Brendan, what do you have for us, buddy?
Guys, just watching some of the sector ETFs. We had huge moves in some of the sector ETFs off the open. This is a little oil one, up 121%. If you check out Gush as well on the NYSE ARC exchange, inverse ETF here down 70%. GLD holding relatively quiet so far, kind of in the range from Friday, guys.
Yeah, but the market is broke. This is insanity right now. You have basically.
No, the market didn't break. This is exactly what it's supposed to do.
Well, I mean, we weren't sure if it was going to happen.
The market is completely not broken, but
technically speaking,
yeah, we hit some big
we
numbers.
already hit those levels at 9:30. We opened up in this state, but it took randomly 4 minutes there. So it'll be interesting to see what the actual mechanics of this are.
What? I mean,
I actually want to say
minutes.
it made more sense for us to trade a little. And then if we're going to hang around down that level, then do the halt. That made much more sense than halting at 9:30 anyway. So, I'm not sure whether the wording will get changed. Either way, this is what they're there for.
Yep.
This is the reason why circuit breakers exist, is for situations like this. And like we've said, if you're joining us just now, you jumped into the chat, or you just brought the stream up live, equities are halted. Make sure you have a plan of action. If you're in position, waiting about 15 minutes or so, there are market on open orders that you can use when we get back open in 15 minutes. Always worth noting some of those. If you're talking about, I guess we might care about this today. 7% was the first one. 13% will be the next on the ES. That is 25.86. About. Brendan, what do you have for us, buddy?
Guys, just watching the Toronto market as well, worth mentioning. Doesn't look like the TSX gateway is trading at the moment. Equitas is printing, and some of the inverse ones as well, but TSX looks to be halted as well, guys.
TSX halted, so we're going to find out what those rules are. Here's a TD Bank, TD.TO here. We'll go over there. You can see if we check out our time and sales. Equitas, only with the Qs. So again, you can get some off-market prints there, but right now nothing happening on that side of things. But maybe Valeria can get us a coffee. That would be nice. I see Rob got a nice little coffee there, so maybe we can go get one. Thank you, Valeria, for that. But yeah, look, guys, welcome to YouTube Live. I mean, can it be any better?
You're not going to get excited
don't we
like
pan,
this.
if we can pan the trading floor, maybe, I don't know, traders up talking about right now, looking to see what's popping off. What stocks can we trade?
I'm just quickly looking at the MNQ here. If you're looking at the Qs, we got to about 78.30 or so right before that halt. So you want to make sure you know where these levels are. In the ES, I was having a quick look, and we're right at that 27.59. So just 5 handles below where the halt actually happened. We're still a ways away at 5-6% from the next level there. But it's insanity. Right now, as everyone knows, people are going to get up, you're going to stretch your legs, you're going to get yourself a coffee, go to the bathroom, do whatever it is that you have to do to be ready for when we open back up.
That's why we're getting reloaded here. The only trade I was making I did short Bitcoin a little bit around 890 and got out in the 60s and 70s. So that was a good trade. Mr. Wiggins.
Guys, seeing 9:49 as a resumption time. So stock set to resume 9:49. So about 10 minutes to kill here, guys.
15-minute halt, like you said. Sean just seen that one position. I kind of like the position in the short side to there. Obviously, I tried out Uber. immediately just pushed through 29.50. So quickly get out of that one. I don't know if that's where you want to be in the whole position. I saw Uber. I saw AMD also falls in that category. I'm sure there's a few other names here that right off of the open were popping to the upside. A $2 move to the upside here in AMD. So alert that one when it gets to $45. You hop to a higher time frame here. You can see that there was already support around that level. That being said, how much do these support levels matter on a day like today? It's all good about price action and all about direction. That's all you got to care about in these markets. But worth noting, guys, Europe isn't halted. So on anything that's dual listed, if the primary exchange is over in Europe, or even, it doesn't even matter, if it's still trading over there, you can always have a look at some of those names. I mean, for most of you guys that happen to be trading here in North American markets, you're not going to care too much, but certainly you're going to want to make sure you're abreast of what's happening. What is open is going to continue to react for the next 9 minutes or so.
Yeah, and like Neil said, I'm short right now, softy, so we'll see if we can hit a bullseye. I don't know what's going to happen when that opens up, but right now I've got Microsoft to the short side. We're going to see, man, short right here, right off the open, a little small. It's like a half unit of risk. It was bouncing around $1. My key thing was, you could see here down 7%, the futures. They never opened up. And that's what we talked about. They opened up, they ticked down here. Well, they did open up, but they ticked down 7%, haul right away. I get right into a volatile name, Microsoft. Let's wait to see XOM bouncing a little bit. We can check in on oil.
It's very random action that happened there. I mean, you had AMD I saw with a bounce there, and Microsoft moving around a bit. Amazon here actually giving you, a very, very relatively nothing range. I mean, it barely did anything. So you have very, very different reactions at that sort of, odd opening. I don't even know if you want to call it an opening. It's just, it's a very strange day. So I can go across the board, go name to name here to give you an idea of what was happening on some stocks here. It's talking like Beyond Meat. Basically put in a $3 range before this halt, right on its bottom, which isn't that crazy.
Yeah,
so
that's not that bad.
That's a normal opening range. I see some stocks with a tightened range that were not doing anything. I can tell you for sure though, liquidity on some stocks was non-existent. I mean, you're talking like Banana Republic levels of liquidity on some of these.
Yeah, okay, H20 here. We did want to talk about a little bit about oil here. It's what? K20. Brennan gave me that symbol there. Sorry, yeah, it switches over every contract. Here we go. What you can see, oil down $42. Obviously on Friday, you're seeing oil today $32.88. If we zoom it in a little bit, it's moving around. It still is moving right now. On my chart, it's halted, but you can see oil right now, $32.45. A nice little move back. They tried to take out $33.25. Oil still down 21%. This should be fun. If you're not enjoying trading right now, then maybe you are in the wrong business after all.
I would say
we're going to wait to see what happens here. 9:49. So 7 minutes away, and then we see the fate of this Microsoft position. And then after that, man, let's just keep trading. There's multiple. Brendan had a few down limits. So there's more possible to come. I think, what was it, 7, 14, and then 20%?
Yeah, 7, 13, and 20.
13.
And all of those will have to happen before 325, with the exception of the last one. The only time they would use that any of those halts after the last 35 minutes of the session is if it was 20%, which, look, if that happens today, then let's just say it's already a good choice of closing today with the all black, but that'll be really good if we see 20. Let's actually jump over to...
This is going to be hilarious.
Let's jump over to Brendan at the big screen.
This may be the
to get the
thing
sector
today.
watch. I don't know what that story is going to tell you.
Let's go, Brendan.
Yeah, obviously a few minutes to kill here, guys. Let's have a look at how things fared off of the open. What is the worst off at the moment? We'll get to these in a second. Energy stocks by far leading the decliners at the moment. Industrials, though, I want to mention a number of these, all 10+% for a good, half of this entire group at the moment. So have a look at industrial stocks. If you go to healthcare stocks as well, also significantly under pressure, 7+% declines in the healthcare group so far. Materials also 7+% to the downside right across the board. But let's focus on these energy stocks, guys. HES 41% off of the open, leading the way. There's Marathon, we mentioned that one off of the top. MRO 40% to the downside. Apache here, SLB, Devon Energy, 30+%. All of the entire energy group down in double-digit percentage. Outside of COG, strangely up 5.5% today. We'll have a look at that one. But banks are also getting hit here, guys. We have BAC, C, JPM, RF, TFC, all 10+%. So the majority of the entire sector is going to be SSR, obviously, at this point. Insurance companies faring a little bit better, but overall the banks are getting hit. We have consumer discretionary stocks, the retailers, not as bad as I expected, really. Macy's, there's BBY, there's KSS, JWN, all about 7 to about 9% to the downside. So right across the board, obviously, big time trouble, 7% for the S&P, guys. Back over to you.
Thank you, Brendan.
Europe is open, so we just brought that to our attention. We do here at Day Trade the World, of course, have a lot of access to different markets here. I called up BMW. This is down 10+% and still moving down. So even since the halt here in U.S. equities was about right here, 51.71 on BMW. You can see now, I mean, look at the liquidity, pretty thin on this exchange. Obviously, this is the German exchange. This is Zitra down right now. Let's check out Daimler, and then I know, Neil, you have another name. Daimler, Chrysler, the same thing. Down, is it down? Yeah, 13. Wow, okay. Down 13.6%. Another drop since the halt in the U.S. So I'm kind of thinking my Microsoft may be okay, but we're going to wait to see on that.
What's interesting for me is that Race actually holding up a little bit better than the two names there, both Daimler and BMW, both down over 10%. Race only 8.5 and holding right here at 123, the middle of its range. Obviously, it's come down so far. But worth noting, look, we are opening back up. We're expecting 949 U.S. equities should open back up promptly, normally, and then the next level to the downside is 13% down. So we will have a trade, and it should be, I mean, unless something ridiculous happens, I think we should be trading a regular morning session after that, at least in terms of any further halts. So we're just waiting about 3 minutes or so. If you have positions, you can always put, market on open orders as if it was a market open. You can use limit orders if you want. If you don't, wait to see things as they open up here, see what the futures do. We're looking at 27.60 on the ES is basically where we're at. I was looking at the NQ at the halt as well, and we're at 78.28. So, yeah, key levels abound here.
Everyone's favorite Chancellor Angela Merkel coming in and saying, what else is new? Lots of stimulus coming, guys. BMW right now, straight to the top side there on that news. Angela coming to save the day. You're going to hear the same probably right now from the Fed. And watch out for the PPT, Plunge Protection Team, is going to be coming in right now and saving the day, I imagine, on the S&P. So we're going to wait to see. But look at this. BMW, we just talked about it being down almost 11%. Nice little move up here on this one. We did not take a position. I had my order ready to go in the 40s here. Didn't take it. Wasn't sure about that headline, but now it comes through. Let's see if that also affected Daimler. Yes, it did. Daimler straight to the upside, about 20 or 30 pennies. So right now, let's check out.
Race barely moved, only about 50 cents there. So kind of surprising. I thought maybe we get a bit of a better bounce.
Remember, Race is in Milan.
Yeah, so, it is in Milan. So they're under far more pressure over in Italy. That's another reason why I brought this one up, because you would have expected possibly that they would get under more pressure. But we got about a minute and a half to go. You want to be ready, locked and loaded. It should be interesting action. Of course, this is unprecedented territory, having a market-wide halt only 4 minutes into the open, of course, after the mayhem we've had the last couple of weeks.
I put a Microsoft bid at 147. Let's see if that hits. We're short 150. Okay, we still have Valeria. Remember, she's going to be on the chat. Why is my head getting cut off here? I don't know. It seems like I'm taller than normal.
You're sitting tall. You're excited.
Black Monday. Obviously, it's Monday. Feels like a Friday, I guess, because every day is an exciting one. And we did get that big rally on Friday evening in the close of the market. Obviously, that was a great opportunity to raise some capital. So here we go, guys. Today we do have Valeria ready to rock and roll as well. We'll throw to her, ask her any questions you possibly have. Valeria did hit us up with coffee. So Neil, with only 30 seconds left, we are reloaded.
Cheers. We're reloaded. We're ready to go.
And I thank Valeria for that as she went and grabbed that for us. So right now we will say WTF to the market, and let's get going, guys. Hit the air horn. The market's going to open up in 30 seconds.
Yeah, and I see you guys asking about that level in the S&P, so we'll reiterate that. It's 2585.96. So 2586 is going to be the key level down that 13%. So throw it on your chart, mark it down if you really want to. Should be a good one.
We're not going to float over area now. The market's going to open in 10 seconds. So here we go, guys. 6% down is Microsoft. Let's see what happens. This is the time we had, 9:49. Let's see what Microsoft opens up. It could open up bigger. It could open up smaller. We will see. And it's 9:49. It's not open.
I saw on Twitter it's the 13 seconds. 9:49 and 13 seconds.
5 seconds.
We should open in 3 seconds here too. Hopefully open up. Looking at AMD here. We do open back up.
Basically same price.
Basically open up at the same prices. So interesting. AMD opens pretty much at that little top in front of that 44 even area. Ultimately I thought maybe you'd be able to flush to the downside, but it's testing 44 almost right away as we're finally back open here. Actually, you know what? These markets are a little bit more calm than I would have expected. I certainly would have expected to see a little more volatility. We did have that pop. Obviously, that was a good one on some names, not all of them, but looking at AMD here, holding up pretty well so far.
Yeah, Microsoft is going upside here, so we just take some out there. Nothing
27.30.
Yeah, nothing really to happen here. The futures you're seeing right now down this 8%, so we could easily get another halt, I guess, Neil, and that could be coming sooner rather than later. So let's see if that does come through. Right now, Microsoft going upside. We're going to get out of this one. It's our only real trade today in the equity markets. We're waiting for more. We're going to see oil. We'll check on XOM in a minute.
Yeah, that INO. If you guys have been trading some of those coronavirus names, INO before the halt put in a $3 range. Now this was at $19. This is a stock in the teens here, so a big time flush out. Now back to the middle. I want to check out that 19 again if we get an opportunity here, but we are certainly watching just at least a little bit of movement finally. Whoa, did Disney not open?
Down 8%.
Disney
not opening?
I'm not seeing any trades.
Bank of America down huge. JP Morgan, I think it's time to test a little bit of the waters here. $94. I was losing my mind when I saw this one. We touched down as low as $93.60. And here we go. The banks are heading northbound, guys. No surprise here. Look at the spread. You're getting 50, 60, 70 cent spreads here. This market is off, guys. Microsoft, we get out as it breaks up. Wow, the market. Upside. Here we go, confetti. Let's get long on something, guys. The plunge protection team is in the building.
Yeah, we just bounced to 79.30 on the ES. I'm watching AMD. It's a little bit late to the party. Let's see if it's just a little bit of a lag here. Either way, I just jumped in front of 44. Not going to wait for it to break. 43.75 we got. I'm adding to it above 44 if I can even get anything up here. Wow, crazy action there. It was very lagged. AMD we got at 43.89. It's the only thing we have on as our average price. Looking to run into that pre-market high, but if this was a bounce, let's see if it can't be sustained through 8,000. You really don't know here. Just a good opportunity when we see those banks start to move to the upside. Some stocks were lagging. Liquidity is relatively low. That's been a theme, but already working in the money for us on AMD. We'll take a little bit off here because we'll do some slap shots, whatever you want to call it. But our initial entry down here at 43.75. We'll take some out at 26. Get a 50-cent win for a third of the position. Hang on to the rest just to see where we're going here. As the market's not giving you too much in terms of direction when the liquidity is this low. We can turn around on an absolute dime at any moment. It's absolutely crazy right now. Yeah, the plunge protection team, I don't know who's doing the buying. Maybe it's them. The PPT in the building? Who knows?
PPT is in the building. Yes, 100%. You're going to wait to see here as the plunge protection team comes in. Microsoft bouncing off. I want to get long if it comes back to 151. That may have been a nice story because it's off right now. So we're going to see here if Microsoft, what they want to do, continue its downside move or not. But 153, Microsoft to the races here. Get an alley-oop from the market, Neil.
Bye-bye.
Like we talked about, this stock is off as well. So right now, market to the upside, and we're not long anything, so we got to find our.
All I got is AMD. We're in the money, 50 cents on the second entry here, so it's going to 44.50. Brennan, what do you got for us, buddy?
One of the virus-related stocks, guys, AIM, holding up a little bit better than the rest, coming up to 360. Watch 360, then 375. If it takes out the top, could get a nice push for AIM, guys.
AIM, I'm going to get to that. I was just looking at the same name there, Brennan, but I saw 44.50 hold on AMD. Might slip out of a few more shares for some profits in front of that if we can get it. See if we can't take that second 50-cent win. There it is. We'll go. I don't want to hit the arrows up key because it feels a little bit crazy. We'll drop the money action for that one.
This market's wrong.
I feel like we got to go a little more than this. Let's break some of these pre-market tops. Maybe let's break 154 on something like a Microsoft. But I'm also wanting to look at that AIM. We talked about the inverse relationship. With the market coming back up, I want to fade some of these names. And I got a seller here, Iceberg at 350 on AIM. I'm going to take a shot shorting in front of that one. It's such a small risk, only a few cents here. You also have a 360 area that you can use. So I'm going to go with both. Half to stop at 350, the other half at 360.
And guys, this is why you get out. Look at Microsoft up $4 since that halt level. The future's now ripping upside as well. We talked about having a game plan, and right now I think it looks to be long. I really like to fade some of these though. Facebook's still down 7%. They had some more negative news about them as well, so possibly something happening.
Let's
with
go AMD.
AMD ripping up now as well.
44.86. Our last entry, of course, was 44.18. We started this one at 43.75, so those shares would have been in the money a buck. Forget about AIM. That's going up too. Yep. So we lose about 5 pennies again. I love the tight stop at 360, but pulling back just a tiny bit here on AMD off of 45 even. I'd love to see a run up to 45 and get a break. We'll hang on for that. Otherwise, gonna move my stop down to a break-even stop at about 44.20 or so. Make sure we lock in profits and let the rest ride.
Okay, AIM, like Neil just mentioned there, that is off to the races as well. Facebook, what was this level? 170. Let's dip our toes a little bit into that. This level 170.30. We did get up there now before fading back in. 167 and change maybe on the docket here for Facebook. But futures, nice little move to the top side. So catapult if you're long, and I know you are, Neil.
Yeah, I mean, I wish I had something else there. The second you mentioned those banks, there were a couple of names that you could have jumped into for fantastic prices there. You were still able to get Apple below 270. You were able to get that AMD below 44, and it's, looking at 273 here in Apple. Brendan, what do you got?
Oil names, guys, not bouncing yet. Oxy here still 44% on the dead lows of the day. Have a look at Chevron as well. A little bit of an uptick, but the initial move after the halt was back to the downside. $2, in fact, for Chevron, guys.
Oh yeah, I mean, we're going to jump into some of the oil names as well. Certainly worth a look there. Yeah, you mentioning there, Mr. AI? Sajruddin? There you go. MU, yeah, it's lagging as well. We talked about a few of these names. The second those banks went, I think we were all looking at the same thing when Sean was mentioning the banks go, and it was like, why isn't AMD going? Why isn't MU going? Why isn't Apple going? And you get that momentary pause, or I guess whatever you want to call it, hesitation, and then there it is. You miss out, but there goes AMD through 45. We're in the money about 90 cents, almost a full dollar again. I'm going to keep moving my stop up. I'm now going to go to a 44.50 stop, but I'm watching XOM bounce up to 43 through its pre-market top. So the rebound is in play for 2,800 on the ES, Sean.
Yeah, and guess who's in the building? There she is, Valeria, let's go.
Hey guys, I'm still on the live chat and I'm waiting for more comments, more questions. Also, do you trade Corona stocks now? And what's your opinion in general about today? Please share it with us. Market is so crazy. Also, don't forget to hit the thumbs up if you like our show and subscribe button right under this video. Back to guys.
You don't want to disappoint Valeria, so I mean, I advise everybody to hit those like buttons.
Never disappoint Valeria. Never disappoint the market here. Look, we were at 28.19 was the overnight halt level. We're about 14 handles away from that on the ES. I got AMD now cruising towards 46. It's about $1.50 in the money right now. And again, you could have picked up so many of those names. Watch out for that AIM stock. We talked about $4. That one has legitimate news in the coronavirus space. It's screaming towards that pre-market high, trying to make a run through the top there. Look, I'm not going to look a gift horse in the mouth. I see us
there it is.
at those pre-market levels where we had the halt. And for me, that's not a bad place to take the target off. I think maybe your first level of resistance would logically be at that 28.19. So in front of 46, we'll quickly rip off $1.60 on those last shares of AMD. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe we're going to turn around the rest. You have to take profit somewhere. I sort of picked my spot there, and I'm going to go over to that AIM, which just bounced off 4 even.
168.85 on Facebook. We may get into that.
Zachary with the tinfoil hat. I mean, I don't own a tinfoil hat. If you think it's a good fashion accessory, fantastic, and buy that gold. But with this market, certainly not a bad place for a safe haven. Not in the crypto space, apparently, though.
Yeah, no, crypto right now moving around big time. Well, not big time. I mean, it hasn't moved that much, but we are down. I think it's 13% on crypto. We are short right now, 168.95 here on Facebook. That may be a problem. We're going to give it to 170. What is the high here? 170.50 maybe. So we're going to give that a little bit of room right now. But yeah, the story is still to be out here on equities, I feel. Don't get too caught up. Our stops aren't super huge right now, guys.
Yeah, just looking at just looking at Boeing here, and we're talking about 230. Boeing dipping down to 225 before coming up with the rest of this market. At the halt, it was at 231. Basically, it's at its halt price, so definitely alert to that. One thing I'm not going to forget to do is we take all of those profits in AMD. Is move those stop orders, get them out of the way. You don't want anything triggering when you don't want it to. Certainly, you'll pay an extra price today for getting fills that you don't want. Jumping over to an Amazon, we talked about the bounce that just happened. We're getting awfully close. We load ourselves up here to that 1,800 mark. The spread, of course, Amazon's always going to have a big spread, but you talk about that 1,800 level coming into play. We are bouncing down back below 2,800, so let's see what happens if we hold below these levels. It could be interesting, some of those retracement shorts.
Yeah, Amazon, a good name here. We are right now. I just tried to get some more Facebook up here. We missed it. 169.50. If it does come back, we'll average into that one and take a little bit off, or a little bit more here, risk on this, and we'll give it to 170.50. Facebook's had some troubles here, so let's just see if it continues to have those names. And we're going to be here, guys, trading Facebook. We just got more short.
Yeah, absolutely. And just quickly looking over here at Apple, it's back above that 273 area. Levels aren't going to matter too much, and that's just sort of the reality. If you're hopping over to the futures, this is the story. You had that halt, you get to 78.20, nice little bounce off the open. We're still hanging below those halt levels. Brendan, what do you have for us, buddy?
We're not really participating with this move back to the upside, guys. Dow Incorporated here, DOW on the New York Exchange, still 16%, failed at 32 a couple of times, but not really participating with this move back higher, guys.
What was that? Dow. Yeah, Dow. Okay. Right now, so we're still in that Facebook. We're giving it to 170.50, and we're going to see if that comes through. Microsoft right now, that's another name that we love. Back, wow, 155. Maybe a missed opportunity on that one. XOM, oil still $33. Just broke that level. Pick your poison today. There goes Facebook. So Facebook right now, 30 cents in the money. Yeah, we are short Facebook. Look, we want more than 30 cents. Bang there, bang there. Let's see if we get back down to 168 even and take a clean buck and a bit on Facebook, guys.
Yeah, some of you guys were talking about the lag there in some of the other names, and Micron was one of them. Yeah. Pre-market top, not actually taken out, so 48.50 on Micron, so definitely weaker, relatively speaking, to to AMD there. So I would take a look at this one. If we're going to hold below that halt area that we saw all overnight, 48.50 could be a good place to jump in front for that short. I'm still looking at AIM. It's very, very close to that $4 even mark. That's a breakout that we talked about in the pre-market. This one actually with some positive news to it in the coronavirus space. They have direct relationship there. I think I like this trade. It's bounced off it a couple of times. I do see some significant size on the offer at 95, and I think again at 4 even. So it's got some things to chew through here. I wouldn't hesitate. Maybe it's not a bad idea to jump in front of this one to the short side. We can play this one both ways.
Yeah, I mean, this is such a unique situation now because the futures really aren't mattering too much. Obviously, you do get a nice little big move up here, but down 5 and a bit % here. Let's just wait to see if that next shoe to drop is upside, and if it is, here's the S&P. We need to get above this 28.05. I believe that should be a decent level. Look, it's super low. Obviously, we were talking about 30.30 last week. 28.05. If this does come back down, we should have a winner, and hopefully our Facebook. Only position we have on right now is Facebook, guys, to the short side, and our average price 169.12. So we have stock logos. Do we even have one for Facebook here? No, we do not. But welcome to the show, guys. We have a bunch of different things right now. We're hoping for a little bit of failure in the market here, but it's actually holding up strong technically. Our quotes have been great. The market's been actually pretty fluid.
Yeah, I mean, no complaints there.
Seem to be making sense. So let's see what Brendan thinks of all this.
Schlumberger, guys, just halted once again, about 5 minutes ago, in fact, 9.55 on a halt, 38% to the downside for SLB. Did resume with the overall market, but halted again for an additional information request. Guys.
Definitely a good look there. All I got in position here is we took that AIM trade sort of in front of that 4 even. You see the consolidation. It's a key level. You can break out if you think at 4, but how you don't try this little short to me makes too much sense. You're only risking about, depending on your average price, we'll try to get to 90 if we get a chance. You're risking 10 cents in slippage. I think you can retrace all the way to about 360. So that's going to work here. I get a note from Brendan. Twitter looking very, very strong apparently.
Yeah, and there goes Facebook breaking through 170 and 170. So we are out there. there, so that's a fall in the hole there. So bye-bye, Facebook. It goes up to 170, falls down, and then obviously we get out on that. And again, we're not getting married to anything here. We're trying to get in and out as much as we can on some of these names and just try to pick some levels. But so far, we shorted everything. I tried to be short. I told my wife today that I'd only be short because I'm always long, and today long seems to have been right. But we'll see here. The future's teetering right now. 27.89, guys. Looks like we could fail this back. I'm going to go short again, Facebook.
I mean, if we get back to that 2800, it's going to be key. We have to get not just past that. I think we have to get past that 2819 halt level as well. I'm looking at AMD pulling almost all the way back into that 4450. This whole thing started right around that 4350 and the breakout at 44 even. So if you're tracking, interesting price levels, that's certainly going to be one. I'm still basically, at the money on AIM. We're watching that one. The corner of my eye here, I had the $4 stop. Of course, we can reverse to the long if you like that breakout. I think we can add to that short if it gets tighter to that 4 even.
Yeah, I'm saying here because here goes Facebook again. We tried it. We're going to wait for 170.50. I'm trying to get short some names here, and Facebook down 6%, a little more than most on the tech side of things. So Facebook, we're rocking and rolling with this one, but yeah, we're losing right now.
I love the names that you guys have. It's fantastic. Acid Tooth, look, we cater to everybody here. You want to call yourself a commoner, novice, whatever, it doesn't matter. The reason why we halted was limit down rules that were in place since the financial crisis. The first time they came into play, 7%, 13%, and then 20% on the ES, market-wide halts. We basically were halted overnight on 5% circuit breakers and opened up in halt territory.
Right.
Took 4 minutes for that to happen, and then we triggered that 15-minute market-wide halt. You saw Europe was still trading at the time if you were watching that.
Yep.
I mean, I saw, basically nothing, and then we opened back up. Not as normal because obviously it's crazy action here, but I do have a short that we're going to tend to here. AIM starting to slide to the downside here. We'll see if we can't take some profit off, get about 15 pennies on a win in that one. So we'll drop a little cheer for us there. We're looking to get past that 360 mark, however. I'd love to see us flush to those bottoms, but it's past 10 o'clock, and a little something we like to do at this time is throw to the big screen for Brendan and Happening Now.
Hey guys, about 10 o'clock, let's have a look at the state of affairs here as we head past the first half an hour. Still pretty ugly right across the board. You can see the S&P 6+%. We have the Dow, the NASDAQ faring the best, but 6.5% for the Dow. We have tech stocks about 6%, 5.5%. It's been in a bit of a range, 5.5% to 6% here. Russell, small cap, still 5+% to the downside as well. Look at Toronto, 7.2% to the downside, guys, for the TSX. Bovespa, the worst off here, 10% right now to the downside for Brazil stocks. Let's have a look at a couple of individual names moving around on the TSX today. Banks are strong. TD Bank here did open again, ripped all the way back up to 61.5. This is about a $6 range now for TD Bank on the day. Keep in mind we are trading 65.5 back on Friday. One to the downside, Enbridge, obviously an energy name, big time gap down this morning, got flushed. Obviously a little bit of a halt there with the TSX, as we mentioned, back to about 43 for Enbridge, but still 15+% for Enbridge on the day so far. Yeah, here's that MindMed, guys. MMed also negative, but overall faring a little bit better maybe as far as volatility is concerned, but still percentage-wise about 20% to the downside for MMed. Pick your poison. Cannabis names are also in negative territory, but it's energy and mining names leading things to the downside here in Toronto. Coming up at 11:20, our good friend Rahim Alani from OCI Group is going to be here discussing some of the mining stocks in Toronto today. Guys, back to you.
Yeah, that's great. That's a great guest to have. Rahim Alani will be talking about some of what's been happening in the market, and it's been a fun one, to say so. And here goes Facebook. We reverse long. Thank God we did that. Now $1.34 in the money on this name. And Facebook, we're long right now, 170.50. Thank God.
I'll hit that one for you. Get some fireworks action there. Pop into the upside. Facebook back above 2,800 on the NQ. And dropping is the coronavirus name. AIM. We got this one to the south side in front of that 4 even. We talked about it. We just took another leg off there at 356. 30 penny winner. Again, we're unable to add in the mid 90s. Would have been fantastic. But now if we slide past 350, at the halt, we were down at 320. I love that as a target. If I can take 60 cents out of this trade, I am all over it. So we got AIM to the short side. I'm sort of hoping we see this test of the 28.19. If you're just joining us, that was the overnight halt limit. This is where I want to see if we can't bounce in front of. So it should be key. I'm looking at AMD back above that 45 mark. Wow, what a bounce at 44. So probably should have dipped into that one where we're trading AIM.
I see Saj asking us here, what are the chances of us going positive? I mean, you tell me at this point. I don't really know. I don't think, it seems like it'd be far off. 6% seems like a nice one, but we are long right now Facebook, so if we can get back to positive, hey man, maybe this will be a $5 winner. But right now we're looking at it. Facebook long right here, 170.50. It did get as high as 172.50. Could have taken $2. Maybe should have. Coming back to the downside right now. We'll see though, guys. We know about the stimulus coming in Germany. That should be fun for the markets. And so here we go.
Make sure you're paying attention to whether you follow Twitter, whether you're watching us. We have Brendan as a resource. He's got an icon terminal there. There could be all kinds of news that would come out throughout the day, whether it's going to be a Federal Reserve, whether it's going to be other national national banks, whether it's going to be further stimulus out of Europe. We haven't seen how China's going to respond yet, other than some creative measures so far. So all kinds of things you want to watch out for going into today when it's news bound. And if you're going to be in position, you don't want to get caught with your pants down. I feel like you have to have some kind of a source. Of course, we're going to be here with you, so stick with us.
Yeah, 22.96 or so here on Bank of America. We're going to try to go short on this one. 22 right down here, guys. If it breaks this level, 22.95-ish or so on Bank of America, we'll reverse short. What's up, Brendan?
Energy name, guys, with actual positive news today. Energy Transfer Partners here, ET in New York, still down 20%, but nice little positive move here, back above $8 even. They got a bit of a cash injection today from Eaton Management, about $2.5 million, guys.
Yeah, I don't know why we didn't look at Twitter, actually. Brendan's been talking to us about that in the chat here. We're going to see about Twitter soon, guys.
Yeah, and just having a quick look, bouncing towards that high, and I got my eyeballs at 46 even. That's the actual break price there. If we hold below on the futures, 28.14 we're at now, 28.19. We'll look to see if we can't fade in front of that top on AMD. I think there's a decent opportunity that could be true. But either way, right now, I'm basically flat, other than holding the AIM short at 386. That's coming back up towards that top. I'll probably get back in one time in front of that 4 even. One time only.
Yeah, 33, 35 or so on Twitter. We're going to go. That was yesterday's open price. So we're going to see, the close price. We're going to see about Twitter taking this long through here. 33, 38. That's the high of the day. We're going to take it, see if we can't make some money off Twitter going a bit long here, 33 and change. But yeah, Brendan, look, a new stake there in Elliott Management. Brendan came with that. We talked about that last week, and then today it was First Point. I believe someone today took another stake. So we're going to take Twitter long, guys.
And you know what? I'm going to be a little bit upset with myself here, just a tiny bit. I mean, again, we talked about some of these names, and you're not going to catch everything. Definitely missed the bus because no excuses. Costco was a name we talked about. Have some ideas to the long side, have some to the short side that you're comfortable with. Costco was one that we mentioned with its Airplane Jane in our pre-market preparation. Yep. Nice bounce. We talked about 300. You could have bought it at 296 break. It gave you that on the reopen. It broke through 3. It got as high as 304. So either one of those entries end up working out for you. I would have leaned towards the tighter one at the beginning because it gave you that 296 right when stocks reopened at 949. So tremendous opportunity there. I mean, something we definitely talked about, and an opportunity that was ripe for the picking.
Yeah, Facebook coming crashing right back down here. So we get out. Winner into a flat position. Now the market's coming back down. We'll probably get into our Twitter short very, very soon right now. Some stop orders that I have in is, BAC as well. Looking to get into that one. This could be a good one. It's back up. I was going to say the banks right now down 10+%. Wondering if there's some value here in some of these names. XOM down 8%. Lots of stuff.
Yeah,
moving.
Just looking at Carnival Cruise here, hanging around its bottom. So not necessarily participating in the bounce. And I don't think that's going to surprise anybody too much. But watch out, this 2350. If we hold here between 2800 on the in the ES and that 2819 area for too long, and then get a real flush back down, you're going to want some names that you think are going to be extra weak. Yep. I think Carnival Cruise taking out that 2350 would certainly fit the bill there. Watch out, it's going to be SSR, short, sell, restricted. You can't hit this bid that I'm staring at if it breaks 2350. You got to try to fade into it or just hope to get lucky when you cross down with some kind of an uptick.
What is this BAC level we're looking at right here? 2340. I just wonder if I should go short now and give it some 40 cents worth of room here up to the day's high, but we're going to wait.
It's not crazy. Look, if you take an equity short here in front of the top, you can always wait till the futures break and have that be your stop. So, you know what? As I say that, why wouldn't I necessarily fade into Carnival? I can use 24 even.
Yeah.
rather than wait. It's a short sell restricted, so we risk about 20 cents here. It's not the end of the world to jump in here in the mid 70s. I think I just got some shares there at 79. If the market bounces, I have protection of 20 pennies here at a tight stop at 24. Otherwise, I'm using that 28.19 top in the ES.
Yeah, good logic there, and that makes a lot of sense. And this is what you got to do. Sometimes you got to talk your way through it,
Yeah.
and then eventually you can come up with something to trade. Halliburton as well. Holy I never thought I'd see Halliburton $9 again, but okay. Here comes Halliburton now, looking to break back above $9.50. I think we might take that if that does break, but Halliburton touched as low as $8 today. What a move back for this name, Halliburton. I mean, check out the daily chart on this one. You're going to see this was $22 not too long ago, touched $8 today on a move back up though right now.
Yeah, can we just say wow to that? I mean,
I'm saying wow.
Wow, Halliburton. You're saying wow to a lot. I mean, we're saying wow to a lot of things. That's just the reality of today's
like
market.
Post Malone.
Just
oh,
there it is.
I don't know. Apparently, Post Malone is some guy that tattoos his face.
So I've been told by the more hip people.
And he has a song called
here.
Wow, so you can look that one up.
That's
right
what it's
now.
all
So
about.
We catapult ourselves there with our impressive knowledge of pop culture.
Look, yours of the current music and certainly hip hop is better than mine. I'll be honest with it. But I did jump into that CCL, so we have Carnival Cruise short side here at 23.75. Again, we'll use 24 as a stop area, heading back to the downside. But Brendan, what do you got for us there, buddy?
A couple of virus stocks, guys, not really doing a heck of a lot at this point. OPK, we're seeing that inverse kind of relation to the market. Futures are ripping. This thing still up 10%, but well off the highs. Another one here, COCP. We mentioned this one in the pre-market, still 35%. A little bit stronger here after the halt. Watch that 155 for COCP, guys.
Yeah.
COCP, add that one to the quote board. Whatever you got to do to have a plan to be organized. I know I have a crazy looking quote board, but it makes sense to me. Brendan gives us a name, and they're always hot fire. We add them to our list, but I'm watching this Carnival Cruise here. 23.50 was where we were thinking about getting in on a break, maybe testing the pre-market low, which was down, maybe 15 cents lower than that. But we get in, fade to it early. We got in the money, but it's bounced off it a couple of times here. So I feel like if it goes back down there again, I'm a fool if I don't take a little bit of profit off and then sort of scalp it inside of the range to the short side, holding the core position. And if we can take advantage of that, while maintaining the short, so in case it does go, we're going to be profitable and holding some shares. But if it does bounce, I want to have fewer shares on or have already taken some profit. So that'll be the plan. We'll get some out if we can in the 25-55 range.
Yeah, we're looking also, this is oil, guys. Look, oil's been obviously the story today. For the most part, it's moving around $41 down to 32, but look at this little move that it's had recently. Bottom of 31, making the move back up here on oil. But let's go, Brendan, what's up?
Guys, another name obviously to have a look at, Walmart, straight to the upside since the open this morning, even after the halt. Did get a bit of a flush, but all the way back. Look at where we are now compared to Friday on WMT, guys.
Yeah,
I mean, look, there's yet another name that we kind of mentioned. Look, we talked about Walmart, we talked about Costco as well, and they're looking relatively strong here. I'll drop another name that we usually look at, and whoa, Carnival Cruise just reversing to the upside there. So a bounce in Carnival, and we're now reversed to the long side on a 24 even break as we're now headed towards that 28.19 level on the ES, Sean.
Yeah, I can't believe Walmart, and I keep saying that, but yeah, that one, 118, very, very strong stock. We're going to go long. We're now long XOM, guys, so we're going to take a little breather here and see if we can't get XOM to the top side here on a nice little running spot. We'll see. We just checked in oil. Oil seems to be rebounding a bit, so let's take our luck here with XOM, guys.
Yeah, and just also having a quick look at AMD, which is sort of making these little consecutive lower highs here. So as the futures are trying to test that top, and of course by top I mean that overnight halt limit, AMD holding well below it. It's coming back in. It was one of the stronger names certainly off the top, but right now I don't like the weakness I'm seeing. We talked about Micron as well, which was certainly a lagger. It is holding in the same pattern as well below 48. So a couple of names to look at if they take the top off on this 28.20 where you can get to that long side.
Yeah, we just went long also on Twitter here. So both of our longs now fading back in. So we might have took the top off here on the day 33. We talked about taking Twitter here. We'll wait maybe until it breaks back down below 32.83 or so on Twitter. But right now we're long Twitter and we are long XOM. But XOM now coming back back in. So we will probably have to get out of this one for about $1 here. If this one fades back into 43.50, we'll get out if it's back down to this garbage. Maybe a little average in time, but right here, oil kicking back down a little bit. Time to maybe average in to XOM and then use this 43.50 as our bottom.
Yeah, you're absolutely right there. Delta absolutely running a little bit stronger currently than the UAL from when I looked at it, and I think Southwest, let's have a quick look. Let's make sure Southwest is trailing as well. Actually, no, Southwest doing pretty good, only down 0.2%. So it's doing even relatively better than that. And I'm seeing exactly the same pattern. Same pattern I just saw in AMD, same pattern I just saw in Micron. A lot of things are forming a wedge here at the top, giving a potential opportunity for a breakout, with the exception of the coronavirus names. We're 50 cents in the money on that AIM. We have not let go of that final third.
Booyah.
I do see 330 at the bottom. My target was 326. It feels ridiculous to get caught up trying to get a couple of extra cents out of it when I just noticed when I went to my level 2 a big buyer at 330. So I'm not going to worry about an extra 5 pennies.
Right.
If I see a buyer here, it's only 5 cents. There's plenty of liquidity, 15 million shares. We'll continue the fireworks, selling those ones off. We end up with our nice 60-cent winner or so on AIM on the final third. Coronavirus names coming back in. Our first stab at the short didn't work. You wait for that $4 level we talked about, and then you get the actual flush.
Okay, Twitter right back, upside again. We're long Twitter 35. We're going to wait to see if this one can't get going through 33.50 and more. So here we go. The future's now ripping to the top side here. High of the day right now in the ES. Sad to say that, but we're at the high and we're only down 4.9%. Wow. So right here, the ES taking to the upside here. Our average in on XOM, we averaged in right at this price. So we'll see if that can get going on the oil side of things. Twitter having a problem, but let's just see. It's at its high of the day right now, Twitter. We are long this name, see if it can't get going topside.
Yeah, this is a good moment to think about the relative strength that's happening over in the NASDAQ, already through 8,100 and through some of those halt levels, while on the ES, you're still waiting to break the overnight halt level at 2820, which we're very, very close to doing, but just file that away. The tech space certainly leading this charge just a little bit, and you can't ignore information like that. So if you are looking at some of those names, I know I am. Right now I'm tracking AMD at this 45 even area, making that bit of a wedge. That's where I've basically been looking. We got out of that CCL trade, got greedy, and you never want to do that. It was in the money. We could have taken profits. Thankfully, our AIM trade is going to be able to pay for that one. But I'm looking at AMD. If we can retake this 45.40 level to the upside, we get an ES break. I like that to the long side, but I don't love how, we expect some volatility, and we're really slowing down in some of these names around the top here. So watch out for a pullback. Brendan, small cap recap time, I think.
Hey guys, let's have a look at some of these virus-related names so far today. A number of them giving you opportunities both on the long side and to the short side. First one I want to talk about here, this SPEX. Still up 130% on the day. Daily chart on the left here, you can see $4 ended up being a bit of a level here in the pre-market, and also once we resumed from the halt. So back below that now, trading down around that 380 level. So if you come into the intraday time frame here, this is about $4 here, so big wash to the upside. I bought the exact top and got out after the halt, but holding under this 4 level now, so a long way to go back to the downside if we do want to break. Watch on SPEX, $4 could give you a little bit of a washout. NNBC, easiest opportunity of the day award goes to this one. I think really has been just straight downside since the resumption. Even off the open, we got a bit of a break, and then since the resumption of equities around 949, this thing's gone from $12, guys, all the way down to $9.50. I left this level on the chart from last week, which is $9.80. We're consolidating underneath that $9.80 now on NNBC. Still room to go to the downside on that one as well. CODX, like to check in with this one. Just gave you a nice opportunity at 1220. We were trading this thing off of 1220 last week. Pick and choose which ones you want to look at. Just wanted to update MMed. Guys, the volume drying up a little bit on MMed today in Toronto, but still down significantly, obviously 17% still. Back over to you.
Yes.
Thank you, Brennan. We rolled over their ES, failing to break that 2820 area, even though the NASDAQ had taken out those levels. 8,100 we just came back to, so a bit of a rollover. You do see a name like AMD, they're making that little flag back below that 45. For me, I'm going to take a shot shorting into this one using that same 45, 40 level, or maybe you can use 30 if you look at the second leg here. So we jump into that little short. If we are rolling over here, there's all kinds of room to the downside, obviously, that goes without saying.
Yes.
So jumping in, AMD sort of of been like the name that I've gravitated to because at the open there was so little liquidity. You're sort of hunting for places that you felt comfortable, and AMD certainly provided you with that, at least initially.
Yeah, and unfortunately we take another bath there on Twitter, so we fall in another hole on that one as that comes screaming to the downside. And of course, when you talk about screaming to the downside, we took now BAC, so we are now short BAC. We'll see what this one wants to do. Again, our calls on directions have not been well today, but we're going to wait to see here. We think we may have this one, BAC, coming down now. We cashed a little bit out there for 5 pennies. We're short 96 now, sorry, 95 on BAC, and we'll just see if it can retrace all the way back down. You're seeing this futures move down, so obviously that's going to trigger into a lot of people short. We just did take that. Obviously our Twitter falls down here into that level that we were talking about. Maybe a good time to pick some back up, but right now with the futures falling down, we'll hold on BAC right now. Short 22.95 is the trade.
Yeah, and back above 8100 on the NQ just now. So again, we're getting a little bit range bound here. We tried to flush through 28 on the ES before coming right back into this tight range. So for me, if we're going to be involved in this little wedge, we're going to position ourselves in this short in AMD. If it takes out the top, I don't want to be sitting here, giving away the big profits that you had to the long side. If we can break down from this area, if I have my price at about 40, 45 or so, maybe 44.95. If it breaks the quarter, fine, we'll get out of it. If we get a flush, certainly I think that would take us down to 4,400, especially if we sustain this level below that overnight halt price. It's hard for me to believe that we're not going to get some kind of a flush to the downside that'll give us a winning trade. So I'm positioned in AMD. I don't have a long that I'm looking at right now. We're going to hunt to see what is looking relatively strong in case we get that breakout.
Yeah, and we may get that very soon on any of these stocks. I mean, I still think the future's going to fall here. And Davide, I see what you're saying here. Look, I don't think these are the easiest markets to trade because you don't get proper direction. You've seen a lot of these stocks moving back and forth and around, and they're very, very volatile. There's new areas of support and resistance that we've never seen before. I've never seen any of these stocks hitting some of these levels, including that Halliburton at $8, XOM into the 40s, Enbridge into the 30s. We just keep going on and on and on. I mean, Facebook was 220 about a month ago, and now we're at 170. So, I mean, I don't think this is the easiest time to make money, but
it's a great market to learn.
And it's a great market to learn. And we did talk about that before last week with Bear Bull Traders with Carlos there. If you're struggling a bit now, why not just reverse course? Maybe go back into some training and see if you can't pick it up. But right now, it's rocking and rolling, and especially with Brendan.
Another one holding up a little bit better than the rest, guys. KKR here, about to take the top off. Had a little wick up to above 25 here, just at that high right now for KKR. Not a lot of volume, thinly traded today, but relatively strong, guys.
KKR.
Okay,
KKR,
look, add KKR to the list as well. Disney, after
We're just
somehow halting a little bit longer than some of the other names, is holding up relatively well here at 109. That pre-market top looking like it's going to be key. We're now falling to the downside here, so this is what you're waiting for. Back below that 2,800 shorts should be coming in.
Yeah, hit the sirens right here because check out BAC. We put the risk on here, make some money. Short right now, 22.96, and we're just getting some out. Our last out there was 81s. So that's a 14 penny winner there on BAC, finally falling through. You can see what's happening right now to the market, Neil. Downside, obviously, you just touched on that. We were just down 4 or 5%. Now we're down almost 6. Let's see if this market can't retrace back. I think we got a good one short here with BAC. So we will start to just cash a little bit of this out. I don't think we get back down to 22. Here's the VWAP on the 1 minute, 22.60. So here we go. Yeah, Saj, we agree together here. Let's wait to see what rocks and rolls and what floats our boat.
Exactly.
And right now, let's go downside on finance.
And just having a quick look over here at Tesla, we talked about in the pre-market. I haven't really been trading it or looking at it too heavily, but it gets as high as $663 before fading back in about $25, $28. Actually, I'm looking at $636. Looks like like a pivot point so far, and we just bounced off that. So alert to that price level on Tesla. I like it. If we get any kind of a correction back to the upside, I really like the 687 to 92, that $5 range. I think if it gets up there, you'll have a nice little turnaround potential. So if we do get a bounce, that's a price level worth looking at. I'll have my eyes glued to that on Tesla, but we're ways away from it right now. I'm just still involved in that AMD trade to the south side. Despite coming back in the markets, and I hate to say this, we bounce below 2,800, get down 10 handles on the ES, come right back. So we're right here in this same range that we've just been hanging out in for the last 5 or 10 minutes or so. So look, I'm not saying it's getting boring, but relative to what we expected, I do think that this market is gearing itself up for some kind of a break one way or the other. And I'm looking to the long side and trying to find some names that I'm really, really comfortable in. Previously, it was going to be an AMD.
Right.
I'm not as much of a believer in Micron there. If you're looking at Apple, it's holding pretty well, close to its highs. You look at 270, 277 or so, a couple of dollars away from that one. Watch out for the spread here in Apple. It's a little bit bigger than you might be accustomed to.
Yeah, oh yeah, and especially, I mean, BAC, we don't normally like to trade it because it looks like it's got like a penny stock sometimes, but today it's moving around, and we are cashing out right now on BAC. So.
I feel like this long could be coming in here as we're testing again. We get to that 28.20 on the ES, and we're looking at the NQ, and they're again back above that 1100. They're leading the way. It's hard to be looking at that short trade is overly confident. If we break out, I think we could get a nice rally going through, but 28.20 has got to go on this level before we dip into anything too strongly on the long side. Brendan, what do you got for us?
Another one from the finance group, guys, holding up a little bit stronger, 4.5% only for ARCC. It's been straight upside since we resumed trading, all the way to 1660 now for ARCC. Relative strength, guys.
AARC, another name, beautiful one. Let's add it to the list. If you're looking for more liquid names, I mean, certainly I just talked about Tesla. I can talk about NIO for you as well. It's done 15 million shares. Decent range, I think, for this name.
Yep.
Look, it's opened up at about $3. It's gotten as high as $3.28, so it's traveled 10% for you almost in the session. So it's not a bad opportunity. It's coming almost all the way back in. There's obviously some things going on there with the price of oil and electric cars, but overall it tends to follow a little bit with what Tesla is doing, and you got to watch out for the overall market as well. But you can move some shares here. You're watching for that pre-market top level to be a key price, 306. If it comes down there, maybe you catch a little bounce, especially if we hold the high end of the range here.
Yeah, we are dumping right now some XOM for a decent winner. We're long 43.77. We picked up some down here, long averaged out, so we're about flat. Pick some more up on the downside. So right now, our average price on XOM, 43.65, and we're looking to get some more out to the top side here on XOM, rocking and rolling. BAC back down near its lows again, so alert for that one. Brendan, what you got for us?
Look at retailers as well, guys, for weakness. JWN here still 7.6%, holding underneath 27. Watch also Gap, GPS still 10%, about to make a new low on the day, guys. Retailers still very weak.
There you go. I mean, we talk about the retail space being ridiculously weak. I'm talking about the ride shares being somehow relatively strong on a bit of a bounce here. And Lyft, again, it just bounced off 34 to the upside. So as we hold the top end of the range, they're holding on pretty good up here. I do think AMD is going to break. It's going to be a better one to the long side. So I'd probably like this one on a break of 28.10. I'm definitely reversing long at AMD. Count that 100%.
Yeah, BAC, as we type that into the chat right now, this is a 20-cent winner to the downside here. We've been scalping it out, but we are waiting for this VWAP, so we may hold the rest to see if this one can come through. 22.61, we are short BAC right now, 22.95, and that's nicely in the money, 13 pennies. We do also have XOM, and that one's nicely in the money, 16 pennies. So we're going to wait to see. This was a lot higher. We did dump them up here for 20, 30 pennies, but right now it's coming back down. We're going to watch nat gas and oil here. XOM could have some run left in it. Man, XOM was all the way down to $41. Unbelievable buying opportunities today in this market, guys. Missed them, but there's gonna be more to come, man. Be with us every single week. Hit us up. We'll throw to Valeria in a second whenever you're ready there, Rob. Get some questions going. Show us here on Twitter. Let's go.
Yeah, and just quickly looking at JPM here, nice little tight range of consolidation that it's making. So we sort of alert to this one. You got to find some names that you like to the break, whether it's the upside or the downside. I'm watching AMD about to break up, despite the fact that we're not testing that ES or NQ necessarily high. Neither one is at that top, and AMD wants to make a move to the upside. So again, it's looking relatively strong. I'm going to be only long. Nice. I think once this short doesn't work out, it's our first short of the day, and I don't love it. As far as Tesla goes, at that 640, I just went over that for you there, guys. I really, ask us, let me know what you guys think at this price level. I talked about not wanting to touch it unless you get a break to the upside closer to that 700 area. We'll see what happens. If you guys like some other levels, we'll have a look.
Yes, really, Joanna. Need more coffee. Bring me coffee. Joanna's coming with a refill here, so let her know if you need one there, Neil. Okay, BAC, a nice little move down. We're cashing some out right now. XOM, hello! This is a 46 penny winner right now on XOM. We pick some up on the downside. 43.60 and hit the slap shot. Let's go Maple Leafs. We'll cash some out right now very soon here. 44.20 and change on XOM. This is a 50-cent winner. Rain the money in. Valeria, right now, what up?
Hey Sean, and hello everyone. Thank you for watching. Guys, please hit the thumbs up. We want to know you like our show. Also, let's keep the live chat alive. Ask us questions, leave us comments, tell us what you trade today. Today is a crazy day. And of course, follow us on social media. We are on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and on YouTube. Back to you.
Yes, YouTube Live is in the building right now. So
Absolutely.
Not only are we giving you all the content right now, you can easily stream it on any device. YouTube,
Absolutely.
Let's go.
And you can also get your comments into that chat, and we'll be all over them. Brendan is all over everything. What do you got, buddy?
ConocoPhillips, guys, holding up quite nicely here. Just broke this pre-market level that was 35 even, starting to hold as support now for COP. Another one moving back to the upside, guys.
God.
Yeah, and now that we're bouncing over and over off that 2,800, we did reverse to the long side in AMD. I'm looking for a place to consider adding. And we did add one time on that break of this level at 45.40, so we reversed to the long. We talked about the relative strength. So in the name, if we can take the top off here, fantastic. But definitely want to take some profits out in front of 46. You don't want to get too greedy here, so we'll look to see if we can get some legs out on a 45.50 break and then work this one to 46 even, as long as the futures want to cooperate with us.
Yeah, your boys loving XOM right now, getting upside right now. 65-cent winner, so we go arrow up on ExxonMobil today, guys. My biggest equity trade today, taking this 43.62 all the way straight to the upside, 44.34 and change. Can we get to the day's high where I initially bought? We will wait to see here. 44.50 coming through. We are long XOM 43.65. We are short Bank of America, but that's come all the way back. So we will have to see on Bank of America. If that does break back above 23, we will get out. But wow, what an exciting day. I'm almost exhausted and it's 10:30, Neil.
Yeah, you can say that again. We'll pop a little bit of confetti there. You cannot get stubborn with your trades. I thought there'd be a retracement in AMD. We took one shot at the short. Forget about it. It wants to go back to the upside. The future is hanging out, trying to get back to the top end here. I already scalped some shares out there on AMD. I talked about why you wanted to take some profits in front of 46, so we did do that. And I'm probably going to be reloading if I can get anything close to that 45 even level. So that's what we're going to do. We took a third out for some profit. We'll reload if we get a shot. But again, we're holding in a 20 handle range approximately in the ES. We're coiling up to make a move. Watch out. If the move is to the downside, just because you have a couple of stocks you like that are long, you shouldn't hesitate to jump with the markets into some shorts. Have your stops. Whether you want to do it manually, whether you want to stop order in there. Watch out for a lot of names if we go southbound that are going to be SSR.
Yes.
They're short sell restricted, so it can be tricky to get some of those shorts. Have a plan of action.
Yeah. I still have like a third of my coffee left, but it's
cold.
And I don't like cold coffee.
Can't drink cold. You can't drink cold.
In case for all those people wondering about how much coffee we drink, about 3 or 4 cups generally during, from my morning time waking up till about noon. That can be a 3. This should be my second. So here we go. I'm getting in trouble from Yawana because she's like, hey, more coffee? It's like, come on.
All the coffee, all the time.
Okay, we're short 95. I just want to bring up just quickly before I let Neil go here. 2301. Look, this is how we plan our trades. If you want to be a successful day trader, this is what you have to do. You can't just short stocks on a whim, long on a whim. We will get out of our BAC for, guess what, guys? A 6-penny loser if it does come. We've already taken 20 pennies. Here it is right now, 7, 8 penny winner. We are not taking it out. Our upside is 6 pennies on the losing side, but look where we are now. 10, 12, 20 pennies winning on BAC right now. This is how we do it, guys. Put the risk in the right spots, period.
And looking at United here, again, we're going to load up on our chart.
Let's go.
Very, very tight range. You have a lot of stocks, and we talk about that coil. To the downside here, it just broke 50, coming into those lows. The longer we stay up here without actually testing and breaking that 2820, you're going to see the floodgates open up. Not a bad place. The airlines or Carnival cruise, some of the cruise names, those could be places to go short, certainly. I'm looking at the bottom end of this range at 49.50, but I'd rather fade into it if we could. These ones, again, comfortably above that 10%, so you can go short all you want.
Right. I see the comment here from Dax. Glad that your office is loving this.
Love it. Awesome.
Yeah, we are loving bringing you this show. We're going to be back every single day, guys. 9 till 12, and then we're back for a little mini show 3 to 4 for now, but keep joining us every single day. And Saj, you're right, that 2820 seems to be being defended on the top side.
That's that level, man.
Watch out for any of your long, Saj. Watch out for that 28.20 level. This could get nasty. You can see what we're talking about right now is breaking down through 27.90, possibly on the downside, Saj. Give us a level that you're looking at on the downside that might be protected. It looks like 28.20. I'm not sure we see that again today, Neil.
You know what? I tend to agree with you. I mean, if we couldn't break it now, I don't know what's going to happen here, but Brendan, he's got something for us.
Energy service companies, guys, also not faring too well today. 34% here for OKE. Really hasn't bounced since we reopened. There was another little volatility halt, but 40 even here. Definitely a level for OKE. Still down 34% on the day, guys.
Yikes.
Yeah.
You know what is working out well? XOM! Hit the air horn, XOM right now. Nothing but cash money as we go 70 cents in the money on this trade. Trying to get back to its day high, Neil. We will see if that does come through. But right now, XOM up 7. I mean, it's not up 7%. It's back from the dead, 41.20, straight to the upside. Fantastic show. Thank you, JD. Thank you for joining in and watching us. Let us know what you're trading, JD.
Yeah, love
but
the
here
nickname.
goes XOM. Hit the siren. Yo, if you like the show, drop
Let
the
us
link.
know.
And here's something that I like.
There we go. We always love to get it.
My favorite, Joanna is in the building.
You, of
Thank
course.
you.
How do you even
Joanna.
have to ask that?
Me and Joanna wearing Black Monday attire, so there we
There you
go.
go.
Although it doesn't seem to be Black Monday, we're making more money here than we thought maybe, but that's how it works, guys.
I mean, the markets are basically holding up around this 20. Look, you get that halt level, you get that right at 9:30.
Sure,
you trigger that second halt level as well. But we're basically holding right at the overnight level. So you think about doom and gloom, and yeah, we're down 5%. That's the reality. A lot of these names 7%. You've seen 12% across the board, but holding up relatively well. Looking at AMD, we talked about that reversal to the long trade. We're basically at the money here, 45.24. We're going to make another test at this 28.20. It looks like on the ES, and each time I got to take some profits off in front because there's so much selling happening at the top end here on the S&P 500 that, you know, at some point it's going to flush if it can't break through. That's why I'm taking profits, scalping these longs. If you get a breakout, you want some on board, but you can't get too greedy.
Yeah, I'm going to give you guys a quick update. This is a look we haven't had yet today. We're going to throw on our position board. You can see Neil and I's position, the profits and losses that we've had below, but here's the position board. BAC short 22.95, hit the siren. That is now breaking to new levels right now. So that is 17 cents in the money. Our XOM trade, that is 75 cents into the money. So right now, two positions on, one long, one short. Pick the winners, rein in the money. Let's go, bring it down. Here it comes right there. BAC paying us off. If you have bank fees, just trade BAC short and they will pay you back in those bank fees by shorting their stock. So right here, BAC, we are short 22.95, and guess what? 20 pennies in the money. Let's go, BAC.
Yeah, watch out if we break to the upside here. Boeing is just holding the top end. We talked about 230 at one point when we had that little halt. We got as low as 225 on Boeing, but now trading at 240. Look, you can see the tight range that it's put in here. I've seen Tesla making a bounce as well, but we're trying to test these highs, and we're now in the money again on AMD to the long side. Look, we're going to continue to track this futures level. The NQ are basically holding the market up right now. If you look at things, they're certainly leading the way a lot closer to their top, above 8,100, holding above its overnight halt range. But we are ready for a sector watch. Part 2.
Yeah.
I still see I see a single square of blue there. It's not all red.
Yeah, I thought it might have been broken, but I looked into it. This is Cabot Energy. You'll see CAB here. Cabot Energy, the only positive name in the entire energy sector. Why, you ask? They had earnings, so they reported this morning, actually, before the open, and are up 11.6%. So CAB, the only one outside of the rest that are significantly lower, obviously, on the day. Leaders to the downside: FANG, APA, MRO, pushing 40+% still to the downside. PXD, Noble Energy, Halliburton, OKE, we just talked about. Energy service company here, still 32% to the downside. Industrials, still very negative on the session as well. IR, FLS, EMR, all about 12 to 13% to the downside. Consumer discretionaries, materials over there, also among the leaders to the downside. I want to point out the banks here, guys. They are coming off their lows, but very, very slowly. The individual banks are a little bit better off now. BAC, Sean, still 11.3%. We have Citi, JPM, 10.4%, still in negative territory. Regions Financial, KeyBank there, about 12% to the downside as well. Diversified Financials starting to bounce a little bit. You'll find some of the retail brokers in there as well. Just want to point out where they go. Consumer staples way over here to the downside. Among the leaders on the way back up, consumer staples and also utility stocks faring a little bit better than the overall market. But yeah, the winner of the day, Cabot Oil and Gas, reporting earnings today. The only one positive. Guys, we're still 5.5% to the downside. Back over to you.
Say that there's a winner today, but yeah, Cabot Oil, good one. Good look there, thanks. And that's why we do the sector watch, guys. You know, that's the most important thing for us, is to see where can we make some more money that possibly we've ignored a little bit here. I see Donald Trump is now talking about oil, so that makes me think, look what's happened here to oil. 34, 40, all the way down to 33 and change. We are going to get, and there it goes. I dump the XOM, we put the stop order there. We capture that 50 cents, so XOM to the downside. Now we capture that profit and get out, because I'm not going to let you know, the orange man and try to figure out what's happening there with crude. So we're going to get out.
Yeah, and I'm going to dump. We take some profits off, but we're going to dump the rest of that AMD on a 45 break. Again, if we're just going to keep testing that top, and I got the ES up here for you guys to have a quick look, and we can't even get to 28.20. We're now stopping short of it every single time here. You know, I'm going to consider at some point fading in front of it, literally either trading the SPY, you can trade the micro, you can trade the actual futures contracts, but short in front of this level seems like it might be the play right now, as we cannot break through the top. There's just a tremendous amount of selling happening on the S&P. The NASDAQ, despite its best efforts, trying to hold the market up. It's not really happening. We need a breakout through that 28.20 if we're going to get any kind of a run to the upside.
Yeah, I think you're right there. We do need something to happen relatively quickly.
Where's our stimulus package? Come on.
It's coming. XOM right here, 44 and change. What a grade out there. 44.14. BAC now down near those lows that we are talking about, getting towards that 60 level. Let's see if we can't capture a little bit of this profit. And again, BAC, we're almost out of our whole position. That's a big air horn winner for us today. BAC's been my biggest win. You know, we shorted that break, and now we're finally almost out. We've ticked out 78s, then we did some 76s. Now we're down to 74, so looking for a nice little win here on BAC, guys.
Don't want to get too far away from some of these coronavirus names because the volume is so good. INO's done another 40 million shares, and then we're only an hour and 15 minutes into the session. Of course, less than that because of the halts. But it's down around that low of the day, and we talked about the inverse relationship. So the market holding the top end of the range, obviously, but the bottom is being held here on INO. It's still up 12%, but you got to watch out here. I'm looking at that floor at 14.58. You go to that higher time frame because you want to give it a look. The top on Friday was 16, but we did close down at 14 even. So if you want to have a little bit of a short trade, you're below that high on Friday. Certainly, if you want to fade that into today's low, not the worst idea. But I'm not shorting it right here, right now, in case the market flushes. This one could really start to go to the upside.
Yes. And yeah, I see Carlos there. Yeah, we had a graphic about Donald Trump being orange. So obviously, we don't want to go political here. He's been great for the markets. Today, we are seeing a downward move, and I don't think it has anything to do with Trump, obviously. We will see, though, what happens as this market runs.
Adam, I'm glad you love it. We love doing it.
Yeah,
look, if there's something where maybe, I don't know, maybe we're not covering a particular name you're curious about or a market, just let us know. We have resources all over the place coming out of our ears here. Brendan's got 8 gajillion screens and lots of resources, so certainly we can cover anything you'd like. We'd love to talk about the markets. It's just fun, and talking shop as we slide back below that 2800 area on the ES. We cannot get out of our way.
Nope.
Look, it is what it is, and I'm looking at the NASDAQ here, back below that 8100, and again, you have that halt level, but trying its best to take the top off, but the ES not contributing to the party. It feels like a flush is coming. AMD just broke 45, and is holding below, so I feel like getting out was the right call.
Yeah, you know what? You see here, BAC is actually right now at that level. I mean, I wish that we had sort of, and if we can hit the rewind button here
JP.
a little bit. I don't even know where that rewind button is. There it is. We were talking about, we need a short JPM. We were talking about coming to this VWAP spot here. I actually didn't think that we could have got it, but here it goes. Unfortunately, we're super light. I only have 5% of my position left, but here it is, right at that VWAP. I hope a lot of you guys held it as BAC. It's a 35-cent winner as we punch BAC in the mouth and start heading downside, guys.
Yeah, it's getting the feel like, why would I not just simply look for some kind of a short in front of 2820? I think we're going to put something on, but I don't want to sell the bottom end of the range here. I'd love to at least save myself 5-10 handles by picking up something in the middle.
Right.
It's been 2800 to 2820. Do I want to short 28? Do I want to get 10s, maybe 08, something in that range? Or what you can do is go small to begin with and then add to it in front. So I think that's not a bad place to go. Just so we have some exposure to the short side here. It really does feel like, barring some kind of random announcement, fiscal stimulus, we keep saying over and over again, I think a lot of people are expecting that. Look, we're probably going to sell off at this point. You look at this wedge here. You saw what we had coming in. At some point, these longs are going to give up the ghost. If we can't break through this.
If not already, yeah. I mean, this is going to be a little bit of a danger spot here for anybody trying to trade the futures. We do not know what's going to be obviously in store for this market, but it seems to have, honestly, Neil, I think they've done a pretty good job here, to be honest with you. The futures seem to have leveled off a little bit. They're not as panicky. We've seen obviously bigger moves in these markets over the last couple of days than we have since we've opened up. I mean, look, 2720, this was just an epic buy spot on the open, and we did talk about that. You could have absolutely crushed it anywhere down here, low 2700s. We rip back up basically 100 handles to the very top. Now we're fading back in. We still have our BAC. That's 38 pennies in the money. We have nothing else right now, guys.
Yeah, and AMD continues to fall to the downside. I was just looking at Southwest, which, holding relatively strong. We talked about the airlines. This one only down 2%. You're seeing 3 and 4 across the board. We dipped in at 27.95 there and a quarter to the south side. So as we're heading down and holding those levels at the top, I'm willing to add, and we mentioned this a second ago, I'm willing to add in that 28.10 range certainly, but that top, it's 28.20, that's your stop. I think it's even a reversal to the long side if you really like it. I don't see any way to get around that if we do break above. Disney back to that 109 price that it keeps bouncing back and forth with, but unfortunately, this name not providing the volatility that I would like right now.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on with Disney, to be honest with you. It does seem a little bit volatile. The one stock that I'm really pleased with was Walmart. I mean, Walmart ripped up huge there, and we did talk about Costco. So I have my eye right now on Apple. We talk about that little idea here. It looks like we might break this level, 270, there it goes, 271, breaking to the downside. I would have loved 2,000 point decline, the biggest ever registered at open. Thanks to Brendan for that note. You're going to see here 271 in change coming through on Apple. Take less shares, but I think if you are expecting the market to drop, Apple did touch down today, 267, 263-ish. So watch out for Apple to the downside if you are looking for something to short right now, guys.
Yeah, I mean, if we're looking for something to short too, I think if we break 27.90, I think that's a place to maybe even add to the short side if this really starts to get going. So I'm probably going to go ahead and do that on the futures there. We break that 27.90, I'm going to jump into more. But Brendan, what do you got for us, buddy?
Another little energy service or oil services company, guys. HP straight to the upside since 1850, just hit 23 here. Another one that's a little bit on the thin side, but decent volume and straight up, $5-6 since that reopened this morning, guys.
We missed the bus on this Apple trade. Guys.
Yeah, I mean, we're starting to slide down here, Sean. 80.60 on the NQ, that ES approaching that 27.90. It was good. Look, if we couldn't break that top, we talked about it for the last half an hour now. We're going to roll over, and there it is. We just did. I'm going to be adding to the short position here on the 27.90 break, so 92s we've got. I love this all the way to 28.20, and if you don't, you can't take this short unless you believe in that 28.20 level. Otherwise, you're just not giving it enough room. We could drop 100 handles, no problem from here.
I was going to say miss the boat. We'll hit that graphic for those of you that are tuning in for the first time right now. Apple. I mean, here we go. Oh, we're trying to get it. Where's that Apple trade? Bye. Yeah, we talked about it at 271.20 there as we were talking, but obviously the market is falling down a little bit, so we'll miss that opportunity. We'll sit there again and wait to see. We'll check back in on our 52-cent winner right now. Hit the slap shot on BAC. So that's coming to the downside. Thanks to Airplane Jane today. Thank you to everybody watching us live right now on YouTube Live. live. Hope you guys are enjoying the show. We're going to be back tomorrow and every day. So,
every day, baby.
Join us. It should be fun, guys.
Yeah, it should be a lot of fun, and we talk about this as rollover. So again, you're not going to have as good a position or as many contracts on if you got this one in that consolidation range. And you know what? A big shout out to the people that actually took the leap of faith there and actually are sitting there, short 28 to 28.05. I think that's a much better entry point, but it is what it is. If we can't break 28.20, you know what's going to happen. That being said, trading is all about that money. We have a little segment we like that we're going to jump to right now. Money Talks, talk some currencies and crypto.
All right.
Hey guys, yeah, crazy move in equity markets, also crazy moves in currencies, obviously going to follow suit today. We'll start at the top here. Big pop in the euro, obviously some weakness coming into the US dollar today, pushing this one higher this morning, 114 now for the euro, up about 1.2% on the session. Canadian dollar is weak, obviously. Oil, metals, all under pressure today, so you're going to see the CAD all the way down to 73 3/4. Haven't seen these levels in quite some time. I was holding that kind of 74.5 area to the downside over the past couple of weeks as support. So that is now broken, 0.7% to the downside. Euro pound higher as a result. You can see the pound up about 0.5%, 131 for the pound today on US dollar weakness. Look at the yen. I put the chart of the yen up here. We went from 107 all the way to 103 in a couple of days here for the yen. So down again today, 2.7%. About 102.4 for the yen. Big move to the downside. Swiss franc also under significant pressure, down a full percent, 92, almost 93 cents for that. Both the Australian dollar and New Zealand dollar higher on the session. New Zealand, interesting, leading the two higher, 1.24% to the upside, 64 cents versus, where'd it go? 66 cents for the Aussie there, about 0.4%. Look at cryptos at the bottom here, still 15.5% to the downside for Bitcoin today, 7,700, starting to look like it might hold as support. Ethereum following suit, 198 for Ethereum. Guys, we were talking about the 220s last week for that one. Back over to you.
Crypto is just one of those, obviously, markets that has no control. So,
and it's one of those things where, like, there's some logic to that whole. You think maybe we'd see some strength as the market rolls over, but that just hasn't been the case. And it could be due to the types of people investing, and so those types of things that you might think would be fundamental, throw them out the window. Ultimately, when you're trading, you have to follow price action. It's good to think about fundamentals. It's good to have an overall understanding.
Yeah.
But
we talk about reading the tape.
Yeah, you got to recognize sometimes those things aren't going to be true, and you just got to be able to jump in. We roll over a little bit here, getting to about 27.80 or so in the futures before sort of leveling off right now. And again, if you're shorting the market overall against 28.20, you can't be taking anything off just yet. You were looking for a bigger secondary flush. Of course, when we had that initial break to the upside, that was at 27.78 or so, breakthrough there, and maybe think about taking some profits off. But Valeria, you got a little something for us, don't you?
Yes, she does.
Hey guys, did you like our video already? If you're not, so hit the thumbs right now, and also go and like all of our videos on the channel. I also received a question if I'm trading also. So my question is no. That's why, guys, let's be active on the chat. Don't let me be bored. Ask more questions and let's communicate. Don't forget to subscribe for our channel. Back to you guys.
All right. I'm going to find the Valeria Batman thing. This is one of my favorite things. I know Valeria likes it as well. I cannot find it, but we will find. There it is, Valeria Batman. There. Yeah. Don't disappoint her. So get those orders. Talking about trading. Get those questions in.
Yes,
Bank
sir.
of America dropping. I just want to bring this up to everyone's attention. We're going to get out if it breaks back above here, 51. So right now, Bank of America, as we try to pick some stocks through the weeds here, Bank of America, a nice little 55-cent winner. So we're going to keep watching that name right now, guys.
Yeah, and good question there, Kerry. One name that we haven't talked about yet, GE, General Electric. It's a heavily traded name, 33 million in volume. It's always going to be good. It's basically just following this little slide that we see in the market. if you were shorting this one, thinking the market was going to roll over, you were probably looking at that 850 level already. So I jumped into my position here in the futures, but certainly, yeah, you could have been trading this equity. It's just about picking your poison on a day like today.
Yeah, for sure.
I feel like you don't want to be trading too many names. You want to have a plan of action as to where you're going to be expressing your trades today. And I'm not saying that I've given up on some of the equities here. If we bounce to the upside, I did like AMD, but if we're not going to sustain that move, I was looking at Carnival Cruise Lines you could have. I was looking at UAL to the south side. I sort of settled on just trading the futures themselves in front of 28.20.
Yeah, great move there. And that's the thing. Pick your poison, right? I mean, the futures are moving smooth. So good little look there. And thanks for analyzing that for the viewers, Neil. But yeah, right now we are getting ready. Europe has been... I don't know what the proper terminology for Europe, but I do. When we sat down, a gong show's a good one. We'll wait to see. We did get that stimulus there coming from Merkel.
You can call it a shit show. It's all good.
Yeah, okay. It's been a shit show today, Europe. So we'll see how that one wants to move forward. But right now, Europe going to be addressed by Liz at the big screen in a couple seconds. When we are ready for that, we're going to go to the trade of the day. It's going to be you today, and then after that, we have Rahim Alani from OCI Group. So welcome, Rahim, back to the show. One of our favorite guests.
Oh, we love it. Good time to get
I believe it was mining sector today. So we'll see. There are obviously a lot of stuff happening in Canada with regards to that. So GE, you touched on GE already.
Yeah, we just talked about GE, but fantastic. Adam, here's a name here on the CSE for people who aren't familiar with the CSE. It's a third market trading here in Toronto. A lot of penny stock names. You do see some big movement. The key thing is you want liquidity and volume. Yeah, we're up 90%, but what's going to be interesting for me is that we're done 9.5 million worth of volume. Look at the liquidity, ample liquidity, very, very scalable. So if you have direct market access, you can be taking spread, half pennies, even some growth. When you look at this, we opened up at 17 cents. We're all the way at 28, and a couple of nice bottoms here. 20 cents seems like a good buying opportunity. It just gave you that with a huge move in the last few minutes there. So bottoming out in the open, giving you a second look here to the long side at 20 cents, and already returning 40% in a matter of minutes on quality volume.
Yeah. The name of that stock, Algernon Pharmaceuticals, up 90% on the CSE
Algernon.
Today. Yeah, just in case you didn't know that, Neil. Algernon.
You know damn well I didn't know that, Sean.
Yeah,
and it's going to be AGN for the rest of the show too.
I really don't think anybody would have known that. So good look on that one.
Adam probably knew it.
Yeah, thank you to our viewers there, Adam. Yeah, thank you for that. We always need other things to look at. MindMed was another name in Toronto. We did have them on their RTO, their reverse takeover of the symbol. This is MindMed today, down 3.7%, doing 2 million shares, looking pretty good on the level 2, pretty stable right here, but that's another name that we'll continue to look at here. INO moving around as well now, Neil?
Yeah, I mean, INO has been a tremendous source of liquidity and volume and a good opportunity for growth.
Shares.
I mean, like, it's completely insane. And I've been watching it to see if it can take out that 15 even bottom. I'm going to be jumping to do the trade of the day in a minute, so I might end up missing this one. Not the type of stock that I want to trigger into when I'm away. So we're going to step away from it here, but I do think it's an opportunity. They are developing a vaccine, but they're coming back in only up 6% now after being up at $19 earlier in the session. So tremendous amount of volatility. It is time for us to get our European update, as you mentioned there, Sean. So let's kick it to Valeria. Oh, not Valeria. Sorry, Liz. My apologies. Liz at the big screen.
Hey guys, yes, Liz here, not Valeria. We have Europe pretty down right now. We have London down by 6.6%, Germany down by about 7%, along with France down by about 7%, Italy down by 10%, and Spain also down by about 7%. In the news right now, Alliance is among one of 6 insurers who started a cancel for any reason policy due to the coronavirus. And Lufthansa is seeking assistance from the German government since they're losing a lot of money due to the coronavirus. That's it for the Europe update. Back to Brendan.
Hey guys, yeah, welcome. It is 11 o'clock. We'll jump into trade of the day here. Just watching the level 2 on the futures here, we had a little bit of a flash and the bid disappeared. So we are holding the bottom end of this range at the moment, but looks like it might want to get tested. If you're joining us for the first time, this is the segment. We kind of go back over one of the trades that either Neil or Sean took off of the open today. I think it's very important to mention in this case that we're going to look at, yes, AMD. AMD, a stock we trade very, very frequently on the show. On days like this, this when there's so much volatility, so much uncertainty, it's almost best to go to the ones you know, even though they will be trading outside of their normal range. AMD, a stock, again, we trade quite frequently on the show, so it's good to kind of go either to maybe an index ETF or a stock that you're comfortable trading. Neil, with AMD, let's go to the TV.
Thanks a lot there, Brennan. As you said, when we finally reopened after that market-wide halt, 9:34, when circuit breakers were hit, you knew it was going to be 15 minutes. We opened up, and so many names that I'm accustomed to seeing have solid liquidity just simply didn't. And one of the things that drew me towards AMD, as you mentioned, solid liquidity, an opportunity to know that you're going to be able to move shares around and feel confident in your entries and exits. But the real thing was, there was a bounce that started to happen, and of course we opened up below those halt levels, and we're sort of hanging out below. And then a move happened in the banks, and you're going to hear, hopefully, in the clips, I know Sean was mentioning JPM starting to go. I'm sitting there looking at AMD, holding the top end. It had moved up into that halt, so it was kind of looking like there was some buy activity there. I was thinking about a long trade in it, and it was giving you an opportunity before the rest of the market could react because liquidity was low and people were uncertain. So we had a name that we liked to the long side. We dipped into it. Things happened to work out for us there. But again, it's all about the liquidity. That's where this entire thing started. Let's jump into the first clip and see how we did. Yeah, we just bounced to 79.30 on the ES. So I'm watching AMD. It's a little bit late to the party. Let's see if it's just a little bit of a lag here. Either way, I just jumped in front of 44. Not going to wait for it to break. 43.75 we got. I'm adding to it above 44 if I can even get anything up here. Wow, crazy action there. It was very, very lagged. AMD we got at 43.89. It's the only thing we have on is our average price. Looking to run into that pre-market high. But if this was a bounce, let's see if it can't be sustained through 8,000. You hear me talking about some futures levels there, and I think if you're going to be watching some of these individual names, I think the key levels were all over the place. You had overnight halts. We've been mentioning that level 28.19 over there on the ES. The NQ at the time was looking to make a move into 8,000, which just held up a heck of a lot better than the ES. So that's been worth watching all day long. Now I'm going to buy here because I see the market starts to go up, starting with some of the financials at this time, but ultimately the breakout is through this top pre-halt. So what I want to do in that situation is add. We don't get slipped too bad here, so we take shares below and then above our key area. Again, to ensure that the move is really happening, that's when we're confirmed. We add it into our position. And one thing you can do, and I love to do this, again, it's sort of playing both ends. Breakout scalps, you put a little more size on, but then you're taking small profits. But you can do that while maintaining a core position. Why not? Have the best of both worlds. I want to be long in and around this area, holding for a bigger move, but I also want to take advantage of the liquidity that's going to be through that high, giving you the scalp trade. So we try to do a little bit of both. It tends to work out in this space, but it all started with a couple of things. One, noticing, and it wasn't by me, this was by Sean, noticing that the JPM and some of the banks had moved first. The market was starting to bounce. Able to catch a lagger here in AMD, Brennan.
I think worth mentioning as well, when we had the halt, it was pretty clear to go back and look at some of these names, the AMDs, the Microsofts, the Apples of the world, and see how they fared off of the open going into that halt. As you saw in that chart there, AMD was definitely strong right from the word go. It became quite clear that tech stocks were leading. We saw the Qs just ripping to the upside into that halt, and even when we came out of the halt, some of the tech names that remained the strongest. So you have to be willing, even with the market so negative on the day, to go, long. Find somewhere to put on a long trade. Let's go to the next clip.
But I saw 44.50 hold on AMD. Might slip out of a few more shares for some profits in front of that if we can get it. See if we can't take that second 50-cent win. There it is. We'll go. I don't want to hit the arrows up key because it feels a little bit crazy. We'll drop the money action for that one.
This market's wrong.
I feel like we got to go a little more than this. Yeah, I know we have all these kind of graphics, and I was hesitating, how can you possibly hit something which is the arrow up or our market green when the market was down 5%, but it was a tremendous move to the upside. Again, I did see us get in front of that 28.19, the overnight halt level was going to coincide with 46. So look, profit taking is not an exact science, but sometimes there's some obvious things that'll jump out to you. You see that there. I feel like if it's going to continue the move to the upside, you have the liquidity point in the futures at that halt level, you have 46 even, you're going to be able to get back in, whether it's on a retracement or a breakout through that price. So why not take the profit off? You're already banking over $1.50 on that trade. If you got it at the absolute bottom, even better than that. So, for me, this is one of those trades that just lined up on a morning like today. You pick your spots. I'm trading far fewer symbols than I normally would because I want to make sure I'm not missing out on the overall moves. It just happened to be AMD today, jumping to something that seemed familiar to me, at least, instead of going to names that you're not comfortable with in these in this market right now, Brendan.
We mentioned off the top this morning, you know, take any kind of levels and throw them out the window as far as support or resistance go, and you really have to kind of trade the, you know, the price action as, you know, you're seeing selling on the tape, you're seeing buying on the tape. It's easier to just trade price action instead of relative strength and relative weakness. In this case, you know, we get to that top, it starts kind of plateauing at the top end of its range. Neil not afraid to then flip directions and put the short on. Let's go to the last clip.
Look, I'm not going to look a gift horse in the mouth. I see us
there it is.
at those pre-market levels where we had the halts, and for me, that's not a bad place to take the target off. I think maybe your first level of resistance would logically be at that 28.19. So in front of 46, we'll quickly rip off $1.60 on those last shares of AMD. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe we're going to turn around the rest. You have to take profit somewhere. I sort of picked my spot there. We have a key for, like, don't look a gift horse in the mouth, because Sean always kids, and he's right. I say it like 2 or 3 times a show, and I talked about the reasons why you wanted to get out in front of that. You know, 80s. There it is. Thank you very much. Always on time, and he always makes sure he doesn't miss a spot. But I talked about that 46. We talked about the futures making that top. Ultimately, a lot of things can happen here. You know, I was able to catch it on the way up through. Certainly, it wouldn't be the end of the world that once you see it fail at 46, you're having to put some kind of a trailing stop in. And again, if you end up getting out from, you know, 30 or 40 cents to the downside as it bounces off of that level, you know, that's not the end of the world. You don't want to get angry that you gave away 20 or 30 cents on a $1 to $1.50 move. Ultimately, you can play that both ways. Sometimes it's going to work out getting it on the way up. Other times the trail is going to feel like the better play. You want to open yourself up to whichever is more successful for you on a longer term basis. Always play to your own trading style. Trailing stops are fantastic if you're managing a lot of symbols at the same time. For me, I'm doing it manually because it was the only thing I really had on, so it was easy as just being tuned to AMD in that moment, Brendan.
Yeah, watch the market here, guys. 80.50 just letting go on the NASDAQ futures, so we might get a little bit of a push to the downside, but key levels important today. Have the stocks in mind that you want to trade both on the long side and the short side. Let's go right back to the desk, guys.
Yeah, you might have seen me kind of giving thumbs up to Neil as we go, because Neil has a banger short on. So Neil hits the bullseye right there. We're going to see, I don't know if you want to mention it. I know you've been talking about it throughout the show.
Look at this slide. Look at this slide here. And ultimately, we were talking about this 28.20 level. Saj, you were mentioning it over and over again. We kept testing. But look, we're slowing down around 27.70. It's worth noting we just broke through, you know, this 27.78. That was the bottom after the rehalt and then bouncing to the upside. So you're looking for places to take a little bit of profit off. I feel like, you know, I'm crazy if I don't at least consider it. So why not? We'll drop off 25 handles on the first little bit here. You can see I have a target down around 27.60 or so, another 15 handles to the downside. So we'll look to see if we can't get that. It's 11.09 so this time of day. Usually, you know, a lot of times we're saying, yeah, let's slow ourselves down, pick some key levels, have some breakouts, whatever it might be. It doesn't feel like that's going to be the case today. I think the volatility in the market is going to give us gifts all session long, and we're going to be here until 12 and then back again at 3 for the final hour.
Yeah, no, and yeah, thanks a lot. The Trade of the Day is a great segment, and we'll continue to do it every single day. And check us out on YouTube, because we do have a lot of those educational type of segments listed on there. Myself, Neil, Brendan, we're all over YouTube, LinkedIn as well. If you didn't find us anywhere, look a little careful, because we're there on all of the social medias. Check us out there. Hit the subscribe button, hit the like button on this. We're back here tomorrow. You like the show, that's amazing, and we're happy to host and give you guys. Wow, that INO just dropped off the face of the earth.
No.
Again, so here's INO.
No!
Coronavirus name. Ding, 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 ding. And yeah, so that one, if you were short, bullseye. If not, sorry about that. You can see the market fading down.
I'm going to rewind the tape there. And what did I say? I didn't want to trigger into this stock while I was away from my desk doing the trade of the day.
And look
but look at it. 15 breaks. The low of the day breaks 14.50. If you could have even gotten shorts, I'm not certain you could have gotten this trade for any liquidity. It just cratered $4. It is what it is. One of those things, if you miss out on a trade, you don't want to have that to start revenge trading. I'm not going to just jump into this and short it at the bottom or get angry, but there was that $15 break. Hopefully some people there watching had it. Certainly I think some other names could flush to the downside.
Codex up right now.
Yeah, there's Codex
$11.
right now. Look, if this takes 11, you've already seen one move. Why not have this one go as well?
I mean, look, we know that these coronavirus names were going to come back to life at some point. So here we go today. Why not today? No better than any other day. Some of these names, if you look at a daily chart here, guys, it doesn't take much to see what we're talking about. These stocks were literally $1. I mean, this is Codex, but they look the same for all of them. Yeah. Ripping up to 23 and change, now dropping back down to 11 today. This has kind of been the low of all of the scare here. So let's pay attention to some of these quarantine names, some of these coronavirus names. Codex is just another one moving around.
Yeah, and look, I hope you guys do enjoy our guest of the day, Rahim Alani, coming through.
We do, we sure do.
We certainly love him. Honestly, we have all of our guest interviews that we've done in the past on YouTube, so you can always check those out. Good job there, Marissa. If you have a look, if you get some downtime in the middle of the day, you're taking a break from trading,
yes.
Or even better, I think, when the market isn't open, have a look there on our YouTube page, because when the market's open, you got to trade, baby.
Well, maybe now you're slowing down.
Yeah, possibly. Yeah.
But we'll wait to see. Okay, she is back, ladies and gentlemen, with In Focus. So let's throw it over to the big screen with Valeria.
Hey guys, coronavirus number cases grew to more than 110,000 with total around 4,000. Cases in USA reached more than 500 with more than 20 deaths. Cases in India from just 6 last week grew to 34 cases by the March of 8th. Well, amid coronavirus fears and after Saudi Arabia announced that it's starting a price war against Russia. S&P futures fell more than 5% this morning. Dow futures fell around 5% morning tradings, and NASDAQ futures were down around 4.8% in the morning. Three circuit break thresholders can occur today. The first level is already happened. The S&P 500 was paused for 15 minutes after 7% drop. The level 2 will occur if S&P 500 fell 13%, and the hold will be for another 15 minutes. And it will happen if the drop will occur before 3:25 p.m. Eastern Time. The second level will occur if S&P will fall 20%, and the hold will be till the end of the trading day. Now let's move to cryptocurrencies. Well, cryptocurrencies lost 26.43 billion in total. Bitcoin fell over 10% in last 24 hours. Still, Bitcoin is bigger, up 9% year to date. Well, that's all for today, and stay in focus. Back to you guys.
All right, we will stay
always in focus.
Thank you, Valeria. I'm looking at this Codex, man, breaking this.
Couldn't even get it.
You cannot get it. I'm going to cross down here on a 1050 break, but we'll see if we can get it. Shorting Codex here through 1050. Yeah. We'll give it to about 1150.
Damn SSR. There's the break. You got it.
So
nice.
We're short 42s right now on Codex. So let's see if we can't get a little bit of a failure here in Codex as we go short, guys. Check it out. Codex down 20%. Here we go, Codex.
Bye-bye.
A quick little 40 cents. Quick little 40 cents. We'll see if this can come through.
It's gonzo.
50 cents.
It's gonzo.
Here we go. Floss it off. Codex right now, 70-cent winner right now on Codex, guys. Let's just take it off if we can. We'll sit there at 86 and bang.
Look at this daily.
There it is. Hit the cowbell, guys. Quick little winner on Codex.
916. I think that's where you're probably headed to there, Sean. Actually in reload territory on the futures here as we're trying to bounce. They're trying, at least a little bit here. We'll give them some credit. We'll jump to the ES for a second here because we are trying to get back to the top side. But that 2800. Codex with the halt. There you go.
Yep.
If it halts below 916, that could be fantastic. I'm looking at a reload possibility at 2800 on the MES here. Again, we're using that 2820 until it's gone. And I like a reversal if it's the afternoon, if it's at lunchtime, I don't care when it is. If we do break that, it should be a good trade to the long side. But Codex, the halt just now is going to be that story. Look, man, you look at these halts to the downside when these stocks have already traveled so far, and then you keep in mind, This entire party on Codex was a penny stock to a breakout through about 430, 440. Now you're coming all the way back in, over 150% from the top. If we break that 9, yowzers, it could get very ugly very quickly. You want to be south side there, as Sean is.
Yeah, but right now we are, of course, halted in Codex. And
a volatility halt worth noting.
Taking this trade here, obviously this quick 80 cents should have been held. I mean, you're down to 950 volatility halt. We'll see how far this one does come back down. But Codex right now down 25%. This is the in and this is the out. So this is a 1 minute chart, guys. So we scalped that super quick for one quick trade there. 80 cents in 1 minute. We take that off and just wait to see what happens.
Absolutely, and the market's holding relatively steady here. We did bounce back to the upside, but we've been sort of tracking the NQ, and we'll jump over back above that 8100. But you can see here, it's had a lot of trouble between 8100, even trying to test those 8180 highs. It's been hanging out in 20 handle range when it's done so. So, alert for the next little bit. Maybe we make a run at this 2920. That's, of course, over in the ES. Very, very key level as it has been all morning long. I'm about to get to 2800 right now. I'm considering just jumping into the same trade again.
Yeah.
Short. Using that 2820, it feels like it's a solid bet there, but nice bounce that the futures did have, so you do have to watch out. I would have thought we would have flushed a lot deeper than we just did when we rolled over, so you got to watch out for that. Worth noting, it's not relative strength in the market. It's not a ton of strength, but the expectations coming into today, when you had the limit down all evening long, you get that nice little rollover. You failed to break that high. I would have thought we'd have a 50 handle drop almost right away. That did not happen.
So many of you saying, do we have amazing guests lined up? And yes, we do.
Better believe it.
Milani from OCI Group's coming through in just a matter of minutes. We'll get that all lined up for you and come with you live on that one. BAC, we're about to get out of this one. If it does break back above 2250, we've rode this all the way down. We didn't get out in the 30s. We're seeing how low it could go, but we already have a nice successful trade breaking through this VWAP, guys. So let's get out now of this trade and see what happens to the top side now of BAC. Let's just rearrange our positions here a bit.
Yeah, and just another name here Brendan gave to us, SYNH, healthcare company exploring sales. So you're going to watch that one. Moving just a little bit here, but actually down on the session. Still, you do see the move to the upside. It's a big one, but it had been down so much that it's going to appear down 1%. But it has moved $20, about a 50% move bottom to top. A lot of times, look, the intraday percentage changes from the previous close, it could be a little bit deceiving, and that's going to be the case here. So $62 we're trading at right now, got as high as 66.
Yeah, you're right. Last time we did have Raheem on. We did talk a lot about cannabis. Today it's going to be back in the mining sector. But okay, we did have a comment before about Intel. Let's check out some of the semis right now to see what's holding up and what is not. Intel, yikes, back down to $52. We obviously know that there's a lot of China scare in all of these semiconductor names here because they're produced in China. Obviously a huge area of demand over there in China for some of these chips for new computers, faster processors, so on and so forth. But Intel right now, pretty choppy, but holding up quite well as opposed to, let's check out NVIDIA. Is NVIDIA higher or lower than 7%, Neil? What do you think?
NVIDIA, I would say actually lower. Let's go
lower. Okay, let's see right now. NVIDIA, let's see. It is 5% right now on NVIDIA. So that's holding up a little bit better. Yeah, I had no idea. We were just guessing. We're going to wait to see this one. Obviously a little bit stronger than the other semis. So let's take NVIDIA if it comes back above 253, the high of the day. We'll take NVIDIA long about $1 from now, guys.
But we are now ready, so we're all very excited. It's time for our guest of the day. Without further ado, let's throw it over to the desk with Brendan.
Hey guys, welcome back. We're going to have an interesting discussion. Our good friend Raheem Milani joining us once again from OCI Groups here in Toronto. I think it's very important on a day like today, we were just kind of discussing some of these things, to go back to kind of the fundamentals and have a look at the companies themselves and see, what is leading. We're going to talk obviously about mining stocks in particular today, but we'll have a look at some more on the fundamental side, see what is leading in the actual sector. We're going to focus on large caps today. Typically, we like to talk a lot about small caps on this type of segment, but we'll focus on large caps. You just came off a very interesting week. There was a very large, I had no idea it was that large, but a big mining conference here in Toronto. Tell us about that.
Yeah, the PDAC, it happens, Toronto is home to the large conference of it. Happens once a year. Somewhere between 30 and 40,000 people come into town, ranging from mining mining companies, mining executives, service companies, and then obviously the capital markets
Yeah.
that go into mining. So it's a very large to-do. This year was slightly optimistic because of opportunities that might arise around price of commodities. Downside was some people didn't make it to town because of fears of travel.
Exactly.
So it was a very interesting sort of dichotomy between the two.
And you were mentioning, sentiment overall, just, in discussions you had throughout the week with people, was positive in this sector.
Yeah, definitely very positive. Gold going to highs that we haven't seen in 7, 8, 9, 10 years. Gold getting above 1,700. People are now saying maybe 2,000. With everything happening around interest rates, coronavirus, so on and so forth. People are viewing gold as a safe haven that it had been in the past. And again, with M&A opportunities around M&A opportunities around things like producing gold mines. And then what that does, again, it peters down to the smaller cap golds, then it gets into the other metals like copper, it gets into zinc, gets into lithium, but a very positive sentiment around the pricing of commodities and where things were going.
So we're back to 1,700, obviously, or 1,700 area when it comes to gold itself. We were just saying before we came on, we get to 2,000, okay, fine, but if you get, into the 3 or even above that kind of area, it's going to be a problem.
Yeah, because 1,700 gold is great, 2,000 gold is great, because if you're a low-cost producer or you're a decent cost producer, that's great. You get into the higher cost producers, again, they'll enjoy that lift. But when you get to too high a level, if that many people are retrenching into gold, then it sort of maybe signals a market that's going in the wrong direction overall if that many people are running into gold. So
as far as weighting goes, the mining sector here in Canada as a whole, obviously a big one. Let's jump into a few names here. We'll touch on Newmont, I guess, first here. Or where do you want to go first?
Yeah, let's go to Newmont.
Okay, let's talk a little bit about Newmont. We've mentioned it on the show many times. Obviously, one of the bigger ones on the TSX.
Yeah, no, Newmont's a great name. If you like the idea of being able to play on the gold side, being able to play on the fact that it's a producer, and being able to even take advantage of the copper opportunity that comes with Newmont. So it's a company that pays a dividend. So when you're looking for that safe haven, like, do you want to buy gold bars themselves, or do you want to buy a gold producer? So you get to play on the gold, the copper. The fact they pay a dividend is obviously huge. I believe another talking head, Jim Cramer, said that he was very bullish on gold the other day. And so when interest rates were changing, Newmont actually went up about 4% last week during that sort of bifurcation period. So.
Is there one of these, we'll continue along here, but is there one of these maybe that we can go to as being the leader of this group as far as relative strength, relative weakness goes?
I guess if you're taking a proxy as a whole, I would probably look at Barrick as probably the first name that would come out of my mouth. And Barrick's, they've actually said that they don't see any changes to what they forecast based on everything that's happening with coronavirus and so on and so forth. They see no changes. So when you look at someone like a Barrick, if you're going to take their word for it, that's probably what I would look to myself.
Very good.
And the other thing, actually, sorry, just to touch on Barrick real quick, and someone like a Newmont, is they're also looking at a lot of clean initiatives, and that was one of the themes that came out of the conference as well. That people want to move to a little bit more sustainable mining.
Environmentally friendly, obviously.
There you go.
Continental Gold, another one. This one, an interesting chart. I was looking at this one before the market opened this morning. It's had some wild swings, but Continental, not one we talk about a tremendous amount.
Right, so now Zijin is a mining company that we have chatted about previously out of China. Zijin made an offer to buy them for $550. So that just sort of went to the thesis of the acquisitions that you want to make. You want to buy a producer. Someone like Zijin is doing this deal with Continental, because Continental looked at the risks that were associated with a place like Colombia, and they saw that they weren't going to be able to get this thing into production themselves. Whether it was security risks, whether it was political risks, whatever the reason was, they said that they weren't just going to be able to carry this forward. The mine that they essentially bought from Continental is going to be into production, they're hoping, this quarter, and gets Zijin 364,000 ounces a year for the next 5 years, and it's going to be a producing mine for the next 14. So Zijin, paid $550, I believe, a share, so it's probably right around where it trades now. So you might still see the buying opportunities for people that want to get a little bit of cash out. But you know that it's going to top out at $550 at this point.
Worth mentioning, I think, if you look at the chart over the past, recent
6
months or so, it's been trading in a really tight range. Although we did have a bit of a dip down with the overall market. However, I believe it was beginning of last week, they got a regulatory approval, and it's thickened right up, and it was trading 48, 49, I think. So just below that 550 area. So definitely, maybe some, arb opportunities there, knowing that the deal's, there's a pretty good chance it's going to close at 550. So.
Yeah, and it's just people that want to be able to clip off of some people that want to get some cash out.
Exactly. Continental there. Rio Tinto.
Again, that's maybe another bellwether name. You don't really think about Rio Tinto when it comes to gold, because Rio Tinto is known for their iron play, and then they've got copper and aluminum. They generate about 62% of their EBITDA from the iron space. They do about $18 billion in EBITDA. So again, another bellwether for non-gold, non-precious metals commodities.
Right. So an interesting name, obviously, to have a look at as well.
And sorry, just to touch on that again, on the green initiative, they want to have one of the largest autonomous trucking fleets. Actually, they do currently have one of the largest autonomous trucking fleets. And again, they want to put that in towards the clean and green sector.
Yeah, I was going to actually ask you about that. How much are we seeing of that kind of autonomous vehicles coming into the mining sector? Obviously, far less regulations to kind of get past as far as the drones of the world are related. How much is that coming into the sector already?
I think it does. I mean, I was reading one article that said one of the key plays that might be impacted with some of the new technologies, Internet of Things and artificial intelligence, to be able to identify different deposits, seeing where things are within respect to the mine, and then leveraging that with autonomous vehicles. I think there's a lot of opportunities for technology to come into some of these mining opportunities, because mining's been a pretty antiquated business for a long period of time. If you went to a mine today, you probably would be looking at the same thing you saw 40 years ago. Not that I go to many mines, but if you ever want to go, let me know. We can go check one out. No problem.
We'll go see some driverless trucks. As far as a copper play, maybe Southern Copper you had on your list here.
Yeah, Southern Copper, again, another name that is a decent sized market cap, trades just shy of 1 million shares a day. Looked at that one simply because of the fact that it is focused on copper. It's another one of the metals that people do look at after you go to gold. Copper, we are of the opinion there will be a push in copper. China is a big player in the copper space in terms of smelting, in terms of usage of copper. Copper, people are of the opinion that with new vehicles, electric vehicles that are coming online, copper, zinc, lithium will all be key into that. They're still, and they're still calling for a very decent copper grade pricing for the year. So they're one of the largest producers in the world. They're based with assets in Peru and Mexico. So we think it's a name that you might want to take a look at, and they generate some good money.
Have we gotten to a point, do you think, in your opinion anyways, where copper has even surpassed silver? For a long time it was kind of gold, and then whoever didn't want to buy gold kind of went to silver, and then everything else kind of played down from there. Has it overtaken that?
I think if you're looking at storage of value, in my opinion, if it's storage of value, I go gold, silver. If you're looking at utilitarianness, then you go gold, copper, because copper is going to be useful. And it's a commodity that's going to go into everything, whether it comes to cars, whether it comes to things around here. Copper is one of the most useful commodities in the world.
And maybe demand, obviously. As well.
And again with something like Southern Copper, the fact that it's owned by one of the largest companies in the world, Grupo Mexico, they own about 85-90% of the company, and it still trades about 1 million shares a day or 800,000 shares a day. It's a pretty good marker to where the company is and how people are playing that, one of the larger copper names out there.
Yeah, so I mean, full spectrum, obviously. We're covering a lot of different names here, a lot of different metals, obviously, but one to have a look at, Southern Copper. Northern Dynasty, a name we have traded, I know, very many times on the show before.
Yeah, so I don't know if there's maybe a 5-year chart that you could pull up. And they've had a very interesting, sorry, we should have prepped for this.
I can grab that.
But sometimes I can do on the fly too.
Yeah, I can leave that on.
So Northern Dynasty, they've got one of the largest deposits in the world in Alaska. Problem with it is there's a salmon reservoir that is associated to the property. So if you happen to dump some stuff into the water, probably not good for the salmon. So at one point they thought they were on track, then they were told no. So the stock went from maybe to a no. And then new government came in, they said, yep, everything's approved, and the stock peaked back up. And then they're saying, okay, maybe it's not on again. So if you look at sort of like the extreme peaks and valleys
guys, if you want to go to my chart here, we can have a look at this. My screen here. Can we grab this screen here, guys, on the desk? I'll leave that with them, but there we go,
Yeah, so some extreme peaks and valleys. You can see the liquidity right around those peaks and valleys around, you're being told yes, and then the stock pops back up. You're being told no, then it's one of those things, and it's in the ground resource doesn't change. You know what's in the ground and you know what's there. And whether you can get it or not depends on your partners and stakeholders, which are the people that live in the region, the salmon, the government, so on and so forth. So, and again, that's something that really affects the stock. So that goes to one of those points of we know what's in the ground, and the stock's volatility will depend on what the government or stakeholders say that particular day.
And obviously, guys, we have to, when it comes to some of these names, I think it's important to mention, we have to be looking at the news. We have to be coming into, the day prepared to trade what is, what is going to be presented to us. We see these wild swings in some of these names. That's obviously heavily news related.
Definitely.
Not going to trade necessarily as much with the price of
The commodity, yeah, like this one. As soon as news comes, yay or nay,
Right.
the stock's gonna
Go crazy.
one way or the other.
Denison Mines, the next one here.
Yeah, again, just want to look at a different commodity, uranium. They trade at 20 times sales, which is a good number. They are looking to be in production in the next couple of years on some other assets that they want to pick up. So again, just depending on how you want to look at a commodity, uranium, some people think is a useful commodity for different facets with respect to nuclear energy. So if you like the idea of playing a uranium name, you think nuclear energy is going to take off, you think some of these things might happen, then that's a name that you might want to look at if you like the aspect of playing uranium. So just different ways to look at different commodities is sort of what we wanted to touch on today.
And it seems like those uranium names are becoming a little more popular, as time goes by for the technology side of it as well.
Yeah.
SSR Mining here.
Yep. To your point before, gold and silver has hung on really well with the gold rally, but it also does have the silver component to it. So depending if you want to play that sort of buy commodity strategy of the precious, the gold and the silver, it's a nice name to look at. They're going to be producing 200,000 ounces. They've got an asset in Canada, they've got some silver here, and they have a really good cash position. That's another thing to consider when you're looking at a name. Are they in dire straits for cash? Right. Do they have access to cash? And having access to cash goes a long way in the mining world, definitely.
Right. You had Vale here at the bottom end of the list. This is a
small little company.
Yeah, I mean, we it trades obviously in numerous different markets, numerous different countries, in fact.
Yeah.
Is there a Canadian tie?
Not particularly.
I didn't think there was one.
Yeah, no, it was just again more so. Let's look at different commodities and what's happening with the world that we're in today.
Yeah.
And Vale is a global company, and again, just a name that you can look at. That if you like the commodity, you like the iron, you like the nickel, you might want to look at playing that Vale. Yeah. However, they had a bunch of environmental issues where they got their wrists slapped a little bit. And they ended up they're in the process of paying about $1.8 billion to fix some of these tailings ponds that they've, and dams that they've had issues with. So they've got mines all over the world. They've got 22 mines on the iron side, 385 million tons, I believe. Yeah. So a very strong name, but how are they going to play the environmental side of what's coming up? You want to look at the commodity side if you like the iron. And again, that was just a name we wanted to include because they want to go carbon neutral by 2050. So if you think of an iron company and being carbon neutral, it's almost an oxymoron. But they want to go carbon neutral by 2050. They want to have electricity coming from carbon-free sources. They want to reduce water consumption by 10%. So it's one of those names that they are making those positive changes environmentally. How does that correlate to the stock? I don't know. But it also gives that if you like that play, an opportunity to get in and look at something like that.
And maybe a little bit of underlying strength possibly down the road. Obviously, primary listing, I believe, I'll double check, but I believe is in Brazil. Yeah. You can also trade it in New York, obviously, as well. We want to touch a little bit on the cannabis space, maybe, just real quick here. Obviously, with the coronavirus scare, I mean, the uncertainty across the board, really coming into play into a space that's already been very, very heavily damaged and still very, very negative.
Yeah, so I think again we've touched on this a couple of times. So there's you're looking at cannabis 2.0, which is supposed to be a very good way for the cannabis companies to make some of those losses back. However, one of the things that we did talk about a few months back was look at what results are going to be looking like coming out, and you've seen some of these cannabis companies not producing where the assumptions were, and you've seen some of these stock charts. And on top of that, you've got liquidity issues, in different names. Now, do you take money out of your cannabis names that you've made a decent amount on? Like we just spoke about pre-market, Canopy, a darling of the market for a long time, has dropped below $20. Yeah. It went down to
$18.80 or something. I just saw it was crazy.
$18 today, and they closed 2 plants. They laid off 500 people. And so when you start to think about that, you're like, oh wow, so it was supposed to be this massive behemoth company, and now are things coming back to reality? It's tough to say, but if you look at the charts of Canopy, Afria, Aurora, like people are having to pull out some of those profits or some of those dollars that they have in those cannabis names and go into other ones. So I think a really key thing is to look at where you see the results, the financial results coming, because that'll give you an indication of where this company is supposed to be. Like, I'm of the opinion there's going to be a lot of write-downs, there's going to be a lot of reevaluation of assets, closing of certain projects, because I don't think a lot of guys can sustain where their current market caps are at.
And I mean, we're still seeing, even last week, there was news of plants closing and production being canceled in a new facility. I think it was in Niagara-on-the-Lake, kiboshed as well. So the negativity continues. Is there one thing that we can kind of look to in this group as far as maybe strength at some point?
So yeah, one of the things that we talked about previously was Alberta has been a sort of a beacon in terms of sales coming from cannabis products and cannabis 2.0 products, because they have so many stores open. So I think, as some of these products, if Ontario can get its stuff together and open enough stores and get products in, I think that'll be a really nice supplement to obviously our tax bills here, but a nice supplement to show what some of these cannabis companies can actually produce. Vapes are slowly starting to come back into the market through different facilities. I believe Heritage was on a little while ago talking about the relationship with Chronos, and if they can get their vapes in as an example, that's a nice touch for them. So I think with a lot of these companies going forward, you want to look at the 2.0 products, getting them actually into the stores. That's going to be huge. So if you want to do your own due diligence, walk by one of these stores and see what's there. That's a good way to do homework, and that's what some people do. And just the 2.0 products, getting them into the stores, and most importantly is how is some of them have new management teams coming in. How are these new management teams going to effectively control financial sort of fiscal responsibilities? Right, like travel budgets were big for some companies and they've come down in size. So as an example, how are you going to financially take care of this company that you've got and take it forward? So I think that's going to be really interesting to watch. And another angle is the international side that we can talk about another day. A lot of key points, obviously, and key I think numbers that need to be hit before we see any kind of money being put towards that group as a whole. Before we let you go, we have a question from a YouTube viewer. Let's go over to Valeria.
Thanks, Brandon. Rahim, we have a question for you from one of our viewers. She's saying that last time you visited our show, you dropped some cool cannabis names. So could you please share with us more? Back to you.
Tell us some.
That might be another segment on its own.
Tell us some cool cannabis names.
Well, I think last time we touched on a bunch, so it just depends on which direction you want to go. Do I look at US?
I mean, you mentioned Heritage there. They were
Heritage, I think, is a nice name. Planet 13 was that one that we talked about with stores in Vegas that are doing well. So there's a very wide range to touch on. There's one that I know you guys have traded pretty frequently. Is Agriflora. Is a name that's traded very well. So I would say take a look at Planet 13.
I think maybe to narrow it down, are there some maybe on the smaller end of the scale that we're not paying attention to? I mean, you just mentioned a couple there, but everybody knows the ACBs, everybody knows
the Tilrays and the Auroras,
all the big ones. Are there some on the smaller end of the scale that we should be watching?
Yeah, I think we should put together a list and we should do like a small cap.
I like it.
we could tease that for next time.
Next time. Rahim Alani from OCI Groups. Always a pleasure, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Good to see you.
Likewise.
Let's go back to the guys.
As always, thank you to Rahim for taking time out of his day. We love having the guests on. We have heavy hitters all of the time from OCI Group there. While you were gone, reversal breaking through 28.20. That's that level we've been talking about on the on the ES all morning long. Reversal through that that overnight halt price. That is basically what we've been waiting for the entire morning. So I'm going to reverse to the long and try this one out. We talked about this all morning long. We had short in front of it. We were capitalizing at that level you mentioned there, Saj, but shouldn't have tried it again. We did try it a second time. It does not work out. Now we're looking to see if we can't get any kind of a breakout. I did, in addition to that long, grabbing some AMD on the break. So a couple of ways we're expressing it.
Yeah, hit the confetti, hit the air horn, guys. Check out NVIDIA. I gave this trade to you just before we went to our guest. You see NVIDIA here. Look at this long. Breaking through 253. Guess who takes it? This guy. And now we go bullish on NVIDIA. So up in about a minute and a half, we take a quick $1.50. Now we are $2 in the money. The only trade we have on right now is a floss one. We have these little animations here because we have no idea how to do the floss ourselves. But there we go.
I know what you're supposed to do. I just can't do it.
$1.70 now in the money for NVIDIA. Let's see what happens.
We talked about some strong names. Let's keep in mind here, one that we mentioned off the show, beginning of the show here, Costco. Nice bounce off of that 300 level it gave you. Now up to 308. Continued strength being shown as we're hanging out at that top. Look, look, we break through. We're basically holding at 28.20 right now. It took us a while to get here. It took us a while to break. You got to show a little bit of patience here if we are going to get any kind of a bounce. Remember, we're still down 5% on the session. Let's be honest about things. We are getting a bit of a move to the upside. Have the names that you like that are going to be strong. I was just watching your Codex here. Worth noting, on the reopen, it actually opened right at the at the bottom and then rallied about $1 or so, but it is now holding back around $10 even. So still under a tremendous amount of pressure. INO moving around as well.
So Codex coming right back in there. So interesting to see that name fly around a little bit. But yeah, lots happening here. We still have this NVIDIA long. We'll wait to see if that can take out the top side here of 255.50 right now. Nice little move there. And thank you to Rahim Alani, great guest as always. And the question was more, and we'll ask him next time he's on, and maybe he can tweet it in when he has it, but how will the cannabis space be affected by this oil collapse here today? So Rahim, a great guy to have on. Thank you so much, sir, for everything that he provided to us, and I hope you viewers enjoyed that. More to come, man. Check out our guest lineup. It's huge. I
got to give a shout out to Adam here, bringing to our attention AGN over here on the CSE. Great call, great look, got as high as 34 cents. You know, when we mentioned it, it was trading at 28. It made a couple of bottoms here at 20. Even if you waited till the end and getting in, now that the volume's dried up a little bit, you're still talking about another 6 cents move on a 28-cent stock. At the time, you're talking almost a quarter. You get 20%. It's still doing decent volume. It's at 13 million. Of course, it's going to slow down because it's around lunchtime, and on this market, a lot of the volume comes in off of the open and then again at the close. So definitely check in on some of these names. It's just not the big caps. It's not the coronavirus names. All kinds of opportunities, and it's not just the U.S. You can trade Europe. You can trade Toronto. You can trade the futures. You can do whatever you want here. Lots of opportunities in this market.
Yeah, that's actually why we love trading here for Day Trade the World. We have lots of different options there, including the CSE. Great look there by Adam and yourself covering that, obviously, as we go. Here goes NVIDIA, guys. Hello, alley-oop to the market. A nice little $3 winner right now on NVIDIA, taking 253 long. Again, we gave that to you as the show started, or sorry, right before we went with Rahim Alani there, and now getting rewarded to the top side, guys.
Yeah, and just quickly looking at that AIM, we talked about some of these coronavirus names coming back in, INO and Codex included. This one holding rather steadily at 350, but it was a great short off of the open. If you had it, we did take it at 390. I was hoping to see a retest of that 4 even at some point. It doesn't look like it wants to give us that just yet. I still have orders ready and locked and loaded to go, both to short and front and to reverse as well. The futures are taking another crack at this high. We're right at 28.23. We talked about this 28.20 level all morning long. You're going to finally catch that break on the ES here. Look, there's so much room back to the upside. We're down 5% in the session. You would think when we coiled for that long, that we get a stronger break than that. I'm a little bit surprised by that action. I want to jump down to a name that we haven't talked about much at all. I mean, Tesla still down 10% on the session. Look at this consolidation that you're seeing here in Tesla. It's like a $5-6 range for literally the last hour or so, which is no way that's going to hold forever. Watch out and alert to a breakout at some point in Tesla. But there's another thing we like to do around this time here, Sean. We talk about some of the names that maybe we've missed. We wrap the show up, which will be done at 12, but coming back at 3. Let's go to the desk for our wrap with Brennan.
And there's a look at North American markets as we head towards 12 o'clock. About 15 minutes to go here before 12 o'clock in the Eastern time zone. Still about 5+% right across the board here. The NASDAQ standing out a little bit stronger, 4% to the downside. Look at the TSX, still 6.7% here in Toronto. Brazil still 8.7%. That was more than 10% at one point during the morning. Bitcoin 15% to the downside. Crude is coming back. Gold has gone negative after being up about 1% in the pre-market this morning. Welcome, guys. We will have a look at some of the names that we might have talked about. Joined us at 9 o'clock this morning. We go over all the names gapping to the upside, to the downside before the market opens each day. Talk a little bit about the news related to those moves and how we're going to approach trading them. A group that we didn't talk about this morning, if you joined us at 9 o'clock, was the ride-sharing names. Both Lyft and Uber in play today as well. Huge gaps to the downside today for both. I'm going to focus on Lyft here. The news essentially was there was a state. one of the states was going to come up with a comprehensive compensation fund for drivers of Lyft and Uber to compensate them for a lack of business during this coronavirus scare, guys. But I just wanted to mention Lyft here, a little bit stronger than Uber and also holding up after this last little pullback here.
There we go.
Yeah.
There's the ride.
Hey,
Lyft, I'm over here.
You can absolutely say that again. So we talked about that reopen, and this gave you an opportunity. We talked about the trade of the day, of course. We're taking AMD, but you can look at Lyft here. It gave you a very, very similar bounce. What's interesting about this is when it retakes the halt price level, it never even comes back. You saw some names bouncing and retracing all the way back in when we kept failing at the top. We're holding above that in Lyft and giving you a nice little base since at about 33.50. So watch that level for the rest of the session. You know, the market seeming like it wants to hold above that pre-market halt level, overnight halt level. Lyft giving a little bit of a base as well if you want to play that long.
Yeah, we haven't done this too much today, but here's another cowbell winner. So if you want $4 winners, here we go. Ring in the cash register. Here goes NVIDIA, guys. We are long 253.10, out half right here at 254.50. That's a $1.50 winner, but guess what, guys? We are now at 257.50. So this is $4.50 in the money right now.
There go the futures.
We keep going. Futures off to the races. Let's go. NVIDIA, big time winner right now for this guy and this stock. So let's get going. NVIDIA, $5 winner. Here we go.
All right, guys, let's go to some of the hotels. We didn't get to many of them throughout the morning session. We mentioned, some of the cruise lines getting hit, some of the airlines getting hit. Hotels obviously going to be under pressure with this coronavirus scare as well. It doesn't matter really which one you look at here. Wynn, LVS, even Hilton Worldwide, all going to show you pictures of relative weakness, right? We're seeing a lot of stocks kind of retaking Friday's levels, even moving higher than Friday's levels. You just saw NVIDIA there, one of those. Look at LVS here, guys, still down 6%, hovering near the lows of the day. So yes, futures are rallying, we're moving higher. However, good to know where to put your money if we start to move back to the downside.
Yeah, you get that saying, rising tides lift all ships. Not all of them in this case. And the LVS, unfortunately, you get that bottom from August at 51, and we're basically right back there. Of course, we broke below it earlier in the session. We're right back on those lows. And if you get a retrace in the futures, this is probably the type of name you're going to jump to. We've talked about a few of them, whether it's been Carnival, whether it's been United Airlines. It doesn't matter the airlines, or you want to go with the cruise ship names. So we're bouncing with the market here as we get to that 28.30 mark or so in the ES after breaking 28.20. Just not a heck of a lot. When we come back in, this is the place you got to jump short.
For sure. I just want to fill everybody in. We are, because the market's up near these highs, we're going to wait to see if NVIDIA breaks back below 256 even. If it does right here on the chart, we will be out. But yeah, we didn't trade any airlines today. My favorite is AAL, and kind of a good thing we didn't. Like Neil mentioned there, off of the halt, let's just bring this a little bit back down. They make this low of 14.75 and then basically just rip up straight $1. And right now we're hovering right around VWAP, so it might actually break higher here. As here we go, NVIDIA now $5 plus in the money. But AAL, there it goes, breaking through VWAP right now at 15.25. This may be a good spot for longs, guys.
All right, guys, let's go to some of the cruise lines. I mean, you mentioned Royal, you mentioned CCL there. Let's have a look at Norwegian, probably among the weakest today, still down 16% here. Again, one of those kind of ideas that if the market does start to roll back to the downside, where are you going to put a short on? Look at this beautiful retracement back to 22.50 on NCLH. I mean, the daily chart on the left here tells the story.
Yeah, I mean, look, we're just looking, it's going to be basically the same thing as LVS. You can see it bounce, but not nearly as much as the market is rallying. I just took off my AMD position there. I do have the futures long, so, we're going to take profits and hold the trade in the futures, take the equity position off. But again, when you hold here and you see that consolidation, that's going to signal to you where you're going to go short if we pull back in. It's going to be right here. It's going to be one of these names, 22.50. We just looked at LVS, is exactly the same thing. It's going to provide you an awesome opportunity to jump into the short, especially if we reject. We've been holding this 28.30 level a few times, and I actually think I should be taking some profit off in the futures trade as well, in addition to what we just did in AMD, see if we can't hang on to the rest. Yeah, exactly. AAL right now, breaking through, just talked about 15.25. We're now at 15.30 and moving higher. Check out these futures. Obviously, we don't need to talk about our NVIDIA trade. We just talked about that as well, but back to Brendan.
All right, guys, I want to get to Twitter here. We had a decent trade or a decent opportunity to be long on Twitter. First thing this morning, noticed some relative strength. But let's talk about energy names first. Just had a look at XOM and CVX. Sean, your XOM is holding up here a little bit better than the rest, I would say. Came back to 43, gave you an opportunity a couple of times there. But the oil market is not so much, or not holding up as much as some of these individual names.
Yeah, no, good look. I mean, right here, XOM. Well, oil's, it's still down 18%, but XOM right back to those levels that we got some nice little low prices in right here. Of course, these are all shorts. We were short oil, obviously, in the past here. Take this long, get out. We were long XOM in the morning, my mistake. These are all sells, so right there. This is a good spot that we bought last time, 43 and change. Wish I would have saw this VWAP. It got as low as $43. This is why we do these segments. There's so many missed opportunities, and I think should have probably stayed on XOM. Instead, we were messing around a little bit with Facebook, and now we have NVIDIA, $5 winner as well. But XOM, nice little look here. I would still like to see it get back up to 44.50 before we get interested in that one. But look at this, bottom here, bottom here, bottom here, $43. If that comes into play again, I like it on the short side.
Markets headed northbound here, just letting you guys know. Fresh highs here. Obviously, we had that halt break, 28.35 on the ES. NASDAQ, has been stronger all morning, and it takes out 8,200 to the upside. So that break looks like it's going to be fantastic. I just, when we stalled out, I took 10 handles there, feeling like maybe we couldn't get any higher. I thought we'd get that break. It would move much faster than we did. So we're going to take a scalp trade on that. I'm going to go break even stop. If we're not going to get to 28.50 and they're going to retest that 28.20 level, you're going to see me out of that long very, very quickly.
So let's talk about Twitter here. There was a news story this morning on Twitter. It was regarding the U.S. election and a video clip that was retweeted by Trump, but obviously not related to the move today. But right out of the gate this morning, Twitter with all kinds of relative strength. I mean, immediately closed the gap versus where we ended on Friday. Obviously held after the halt, 31.50, and now we're all the way up to 34.50 on Twitter.
I can't believe I went long and lost.
Yeah, I'm just going to, I'll hit the to the moon there. Look at this thing. Look at that thing.
Embarrassing. Check out my
$3.5.
Check out where I went long. I went long basically at the worst spot, I guess. It does drop down there and then ding, 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 straight to the upside. Should have took this long again. Fails here. The third time's the charm. Straight to the upside. Obviously, there you go. And there is NVIDIA. We get out of NVIDIA as it breaks back down below. So that one right there, guys, is a clean $4 on NVIDIA, breaking out, downside now, getting out at $256.99. Good little trade there. Happy to make that on NVIDIA. We are ready, though.
I think we got a treat.
Yep.
Yeah,
I called for it, and he is ready. So, again, we have a big floor behind us. One of our favorite personalities, one of the best guys on the floor, needless to say. Everybody loves this guy. Let's throw it over to Gus. And, Gus, what were you trading today, and how's your day been, my friend?
Morning, boys. How are you?
Fantastic.
Very volatile day, as you can see. We were shorting oil today, particularly Enbridge. We were shorting 42.89 was the point. We made a clean dollar trade today.
Sweet.
Yes.
It was really my only trade just because of my risk parameters. I couldn't trade the futures, a little too volatile for me. I don't want to get stopped out with my amount of stop, so I don't opt into it. I'd watch Europe today, down 10%.
Yeah, wow.
I will not be taking it. It's a very, very difficult trade.
All right, thank you.
Very,
we
very
love to hear.
difficult.
Thanks a lot, Gus. You know what I loved about that? He said, I didn't trade the futures. You expressed the trades. He come in there with a plan. This is where I'm going to jump. I want to be playing in oil. I like Enbridge. I'm not going to touch the futures. A little too volatile for me with my risk parameters. That's what you've got to do. There is nothing wrong with sort of taking a step back. I've traded half the amount of symbols that I normally would on a given day doing this show. And again, that's what it's going to be all about. You've got to pick your poison. As I continue to look at Twitter, just making another run to the upside. Wow, it's going to be 35 any second now. But 8,200, we just came back on the NQ. So that little rally that we've made, I'm going to move, like I said, I'm moving my stop to that 28.20 on the way back in, because if we can't make or sustain this rally deeper than that, I don't want to get caught holding the long at the top.
Yeah, who knows? NVIDIA, what a great out. That's why we hit that perfect Street Fighter, my favorite game. You're going to see right here down below 257. That was our out. You're now going to pick it up for 256.20 if you did want to reload in NVIDIA. For me, it's noon. We may just slow this down a little bit. Check us back at 3 o'clock. And thank you for joining us today. We are not done yet. Let's throw it back to Brendan.
All right, guys, let's. Gus just raised a very good point there because of the time change that we underwent here in North America. Europe closing obviously an hour later, so 12:30 Eastern. If you're trading it in the Eastern time zone, it's usually 11:30. So very good point there from Gus. Let's talk about Boeing, guys. We mentioned there was a Wall Street Journal report over the weekend suggesting that regulators are going to force them to reroute the wiring harness in the grounded 737 MAX jet. This was the fear for quite some time and looks like it might come true. We were talking about relative strength and relative weakness. This thing hasn't even gotten above the high from the morning.
Yeah, Boeing, and I'm frustrated over this name because if you've been following the show for quite some time, Sean and I basically mentioned over and over again, where is the bottom on this stock? It was beaten up for so long at this point.
Wow.
To have looked at 225,
wow.
Well below the halt price. Then even when it retook it, you're talking about a $6-7 move from that bottom back to the pre-market, back to that opening halt price, and then it never really even looked back. Even despite the fact that it was under pressure on its own news, there still giving you a $10 win. Still holding above VWAP and close to those highs. So it's down 9%, but as a bottom pick goes. Again, you pick your poison. I picked AMD, but Boeing, bit of a missed opportunity there, and that's kind of an understatement.
Yeah, bit of a missed one. Neil's completely correct about that. Even on that halt, though, it does come up and opens even lower and then continues to go down. So I don't know. I mean, you would have never picked 225 as the stop spot, but yeah, that would have been a pretty good one to pick up. As you could see back up, I look to fade this one actually, to be honest with you guys, just because it's been such a negative name. So many things against it. The coronavirus is obviously against it as well. So
I can get behind that.
Yeah, right now I like to short, even though it's been strong today, Boeing.
Look at that top.
Completely agree there. Obviously, we're seeing NVIDIA, we're seeing, this next one I'm going to talk about, Facebook, all above that early morning high where Boeing can't break that early morning high. So relative weakness there definitely for BA. Facebook, guys, a little bit of a news story this morning. They were sued by Australia's privacy regulator, accused of sharing the personal data of users without their knowledge. So same story over and over for FB. However, this one has done pretty well today, 3.5% only for Facebook.
Yeah, I mean, look, Facebook, again, it's not that bad. It's showing some strength, but I got to be honest with you guys. Kerry, you said it once, you said it again. We were looking at this one last week. It's Zoom. We use Zoom Media for our calls ourselves. And we talk about the coronavirus-related names. If people are going to be working from home and they're going to be doing meetings online, what are they going to use? A lot of people using Zoom, superior technology to some of the other ones. At least some people say that. Either way, it gave you a 101 after that halt as a bottom. And now we're staring 115 in the face. This is not the first time we've seen a big time rally from this name. The market was rallying as well. It's also going to give you that coronavirus play. This is that next level analysis you got to do as a trader when you're picking out those longs on a day like today.
Yeah, no, and that's a great one. Zoom's a great one. We've talked about that over and over on why we like that and why we think that's a hot play. Just to talk about your play here, Brendan, I had Facebook long 2 or 3 times here, and every single time was unable to hold it. You could see Facebook all the way back up to 175. I was talking about going long 170. We did that. We had the $2 or so in the money, came right back in and we got out. It was too choppy here, but since the last hour, straight to the upside, all of these tech stocks, guys.
All right, guys, just seeing that chart of Zoom Media there, positive on the day, so obviously relative strength there. Just looked at Costco. It's still slightly down on the day, but have a look at Walmart here, guys. We're now up 2% for Walmart, so having not only not a negative day, but a very nice day to the upside.
Yeah, I mean, there were 2 names we talked about with one of our guests this morning. It's Airplane Jane. We brought her in at 9:05. We talked about the strength. Costco was certainly one of them. Walmart going to be the other. And we just talked about Zoom Media there. You talk about these names will allow you to express a bit of positivity or a positive angle to the coronavirus if people are stocking up. That's good for a few of these retailers. And of course, only looking at the better ones. I'm not I'm not talking about Nordstrom's. I'm talking about what people do in a panic. They're going to go to their Costco, they're going to go to their Walmart, whatever it might be. So definitely a great look there. Walmart, another name you could have picked up. And again, right off of that reopen, giving you fantastic prices you never saw. It never even went against you if you bought it at almost any point after the market opened up, after that little halt at 9:34.
Yeah, again, Walmart is the name. We talked about that. And I made a joke about no toilet paper being left behind, and you can see right now.
Joke but true.
Jokes, yeah, but true, I guess, here in Ontario and Eastern Canada. But Walmart, to the north side here. This is still Facebook I have on, but we'll continue to look at that. Target, Walmart, Costco, solid names all around. This is one of our favorite parts of the day. We just have some fun here at the end of the show, so let's throw it to Valeria and see what day it is.
Hey guys, our show is very close to the end, but don't miss us too much. We'll be back in 3 hours. Meet us at 3 p.m. at our YouTube channel and send the link to your friends, family. Let's all be together and be friends. Well guys, today is the National Barbie Day. Did you know that 100 Barbies being sold every minute? Back to you.
You know what, we get we've had Pound Cake Day, we've had Pancake Day, and now we have National Barbie Day.
Barbie's legit, man. Barbie, obviously my daughter's loving Barbie. My favorite Barbie, Chelsea.
Okay.
That's apparently Barbie's little sister. Because
we haven't reached that stage in my home yet.
That is my daughter's favorite, so I'm going to go with Chelsea as my favorite. I'm not sure. She has a little bit of a problem pronouncing. I'm not sure if it's Kelsey or Chelsea, but I think it is Chelsea.
I'll go with Chelsea.
We'll
that sounds
Google
about
that
right
and
to
be
me.
back with you at 3 o'clock and tell you exactly the spelling of Barbie's sister's name.
We're rolling back over in the futures here as we get out of here. National Barbie Day. There you go. Have a look at Mattel. I think it's still them. But rolling over here as I watch Walmart pulling back in. Break even stop on that last futures trade. So we can't get much above 8,200.
Nope.
81.90 we're trading at right now. We basically tried to hold above that 28.20 level. It has not happened. We will be back at 3 o'clock.
Yes.
Make sure you tune back in. We'll be answering questions on the chat, as always, going into the close. But for the entire team here, and it's been an absolutely fun and wild ride here on YouTube Live for us, for Valeria, who does a fantastic job in the chat. And, of course, our analyst, Liz, for Brennan Wickens on the ones and twos at the desk there. And, as always, for myself, Neil Roberts, and Sean Katina, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. This is TraderTV.live. We'll see you back at 3 o'clock.
We'll see you soon. See you guys.
It was like there's kind of